Everyone's talking about AI these days, right? This season on Compiler, we're diving deep into how AI is reshaping the world we live in. Join us for a new season of Compiler, an original podcast from Red Hat. Subscribe now, wherever you get your podcasts.
One of the hardest parts of getting older is feeling like something's off in your body, but not knowing exactly what. It's not just aging, it's often your hormones too. When they fall out of balance, everything feels off. But here's the good news. This doesn't have to be the story of your next chapter. Hormone Harmony by Happy Mammoth is an herbal formula made with science-backed ingredients designed to fine-tune your hormones by balancing estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, and even stress hormones like cortisol. It helps with common issues such as hot flashes, poor sleep, low energy, bloating, and more. With over 40,000 reviews and a bottle sold every 24 seconds, the results speak for themselves. A survey found 86% of women lost weight, 77% saw an improved mood, and 100% felt like themselves again. Start your next chapter feeling balanced and in control. For a limited time, get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com with code NEXTCHAPTER at checkout. Visit happymammoth.com today and get your old self back naturally.
Coming up on episode 377 of Wheel Bearings, we got the whole crew back. We've got lots to talk about, including the Toyota Camry, the Land Cruiser, the Audi SQ8, Jaguar's new branding, the STLA Frame platform for the EREVs coming from Stellantis, the GMC Sierra EV, the Genesis GV70 refresh, the new VW Tiguan, interviews with Jeep executives, Hyundai's new Ioniq 9, Lotus shifting to EREVs, the finalists for the North American Car, Truck, and Utility of the Year, and got some listener questions too. All that and more coming up next. This is episode 377 of Wheel Bearings. I'm Sam Abu-Al-Samad from Guidehouse Insights.
And I am Nicole Wakelin from CarBuzz.
And I am Roberto Baldwin from SAE International.
And we're all back together again, finally.
You know, after last night's show, I went...
I saw him at the LA Auto Show, and he was eating this something in the press room, and I'm like, did you learn nothing from your chicken sandwich at the rest area?
Last night, so my band, one of my bands had a show last night, and afterwards I went to 7-Eleven and got a hot dog. So I had a hot dog.
You clearly have not learned anything.
Don't stop. I am ungovernable. That's the lesson we've learned here. I'm never
just trying to make your gut immune to every bacteria out there, huh?
Yeah, I'm getting ready for the apocalypse is what I'm doing.
So you can eat anything.
Eating food that's not tainted. Not me. Going right for it and going.
Taking the risk, okay.
Taking the risk that no one else will take. I'm doing the job of everyone else.
Well, I went to one of our local bakeries yesterday to grab a sourdough baguette, and while I was there, I noticed they have pistachio butterscotch cookies, and so I got
good.
one and brought it home and had it for a snack after dinner last night. If you're in the Ypsilanti area, I strongly recommend that you stop by Bird Dog Baking. It's right downtown on Michigan Avenue. Really good stuff.
I want cookies. I had cookies on the trip. So I was hosted by Genesis at the LA Auto Show, and they gave us little goodies in our room because it was a long week. And I'm going to say it's a California. It's an LA thing, Roberto. It's wait a minute, Erewhon? Is that how you say it? The stupidly expensive place. It's like EREWHON. It's this fancy.
It's LA. Who knows?
It makes Whole Foods look cheap. I was like, what am I even eating? But they're really good cookies. But then they had like these. They gave me gummies, dude. They make sea moss gummies. They taste just as awful as they sound. I was like, I appreciate the attempt to give me fancy pants, expensive LA food, but these are nasty. But I did eat the cookies. They were really
Did it make you feel funny afterwards, though?
I did not.
Okay.
Well, I mean, considering that, I usually think of sea moss, or was it like sea as in like the sea and moss? Is that what it was?
It was like sea as in the ocean.
Yeah.
It was ocean. Apparently, it's one of their signature items. And the thing is like, I don't know, like $30. They're stupid. This is like movie star stuff. And I suppose if you like them, they would be amazing. I was like, no, I would not get those. And
That's just LA shenanigans. I've lived in LA
it
a
is
couple
LA
times,
shenanigans.
and there's a lot of
Yeah.
things where like, hey, what if I just freeze myself? And then, oh, what if I do this one thing? Like, LA is the most, one person does it, and then everyone does it for about 6 to 8 months, and then they move on.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
a it's a
when you
weird
said,
weird town.
yeah,
the cookies are worth it. Like if you go there and you want to pay $18 for a dozen cookies, totally worth it.
because when you said CMOS, I was thinking like, CMOS, which I forget what it stands
No,
for.
like
It's like
see,
chips.
like
It's it's a type of
like the ocean.
silicon
Yeah,
chips.
it's
Yeah.
like sea
Okay.
moss. There were like 3
I
different
can
flavors.
see why that might
Mm.
not necessarily be
And
too
I
flavorful.
was like, okay, well, this is fancy and it's like a signature and I'm going to try it. But I'm like, no, stick with the cookies.
Yeah.
Cookies never fail you, people. They never fail you.
Just never fail you.
All right. Well, let's talk about what's been
What?
going on this week. Nicole, what have you been driving?
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about what I drove while I was at the LA Auto Show. The good folks at Audi were kind enough to give me a vehicle so I could drive back and forth to the auto show and to the World Car test drives, which were happening that week. So I had a 2024 Audi SQ8, which is ridiculously fun. I didn't have as much fun as I could have because I was in LA and it's just one
Well,
giant
yeah,
traffic jam.
if you get over 20 miles an hour, you're lucky.
I had one moment where I could just floor it and for like one exit. Like this is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like that was it. But no, I really enjoyed trying this. So this is not a cheap car. It is on the pricey side. So as equipped, the way that I had it, it was $127,540. So you're buying a luxury car. You guys want to take a guess at destination since I'm staring at the Monroney?
I'm going to say $995.
$1,450.
Sam gets it. Is closer. It was right in the middle of the two of you almost. $1,195.
Okay.
Oh.
So not crazy, right? It's not one of those that goes like over 2,000 like some of these places. But so the SQ8 is the more oomph version of the Q8.
Would
It
you
is
say
more
it's
expensive
oomph?
too. So
There
you're
it
paying
is.
for that. Oomph there. Oh, I like that. I haven't published my review yet. There, I'm changing the title.
You can use that.
So
You can
the
use that.
SQ8. Thank you. I appreciate that, Robbie. I'm glad you're here for me. So this has a twin turbo 4-liter V8, 500 horsepower, 588 pound-feet of torque. It gets an 8-speed automatic, and all-wheel drive is standard. When you do get out of LA, you will find that when you mash the gas, it goes. I mean, and it has a great
And so does the gas.
sound. Yeah, so does the gas, because the fuel economy is actually one of its like its big downside. So the fuel economy on this, it's 15 city, 21 highway, 17 combined. It's not great. But if you, like I thought, like if you went to just the Q8, right, would you save big? No. So when you go to the Q8, which is less powerful, and you don't have the specs on that in front of me, it's a 6-cylinder engine. It's 17 city, 23 highway, 19 combined. So you give up a lot of fun for 2 miles per gallon combined. Don't do that. Don't do it. If it's a budget thing, sure. But if it's gas, don't do it. But it's right in line with things like the BMW X6 is 19 combined. The Cayenne is 17 combined. So it's not like, everybody else is getting like 30 miles per gallon and here's these guys at 17. It's what you get when you're in a performance SUV. You're buying it for the performance, not for the fuel economy. So, that's the price.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, if you want to save money on gas in this type of vehicle, you buy an EV. You don't buy anything that runs on gas.
Yeah, I'm like,
Exactly.
I was like, if you want to save money on, what is that? Someone just fell from the sky.
Something fell in your office?
Oh, no. It's
Okay.
just my, never mind. Yeah. No one's buying
All right,
one.
Robin, what were you doing? What were you thinking before the show? He's looking up like, whoa, what's falling?
I only got 4 hours of sleep last night, so let's do this.
That's okay. And yeah, you didn't eat well. So there you go.
I ate a hot dog. It was delicious. It's got the 4 major food groups: bread, hot dog, mustard, and jalapeno.
Okay. Oh, a jalapeno.
So it's got it all covered.
It's all covered.
So anyway, back to not the hot dog. The Audi SQ8. So I did enjoy driving this. It is very nice to drive. It has pretty heavily bolstered seats. So if you don't like that sort of squishy sports seat feeling, you're going to find them a little snug. Or if you happen to be larger, not even like I'm saying you're a fat guy, just if you're a bigger guy, they're a little on the squishy side. They're tight. The reason they're tight is when you take this out onto like a little twisty side road, it kind of holds you in place as you have a little fun with it. So I like that, but not everybody is a fan of that kind of heavy bolstering. So that's something to just give the seats a try. Check it out, see what you think. They do look beautiful. The fit and finish inside is just exactly what you would think it would be in a car that's 130 grand. There's leather, everything, there's quilted, there's an S embroidered on the backs of the front or on the front headrests. It's the differences from 23 to 24 were pretty much just cosmetic differences. So there weren't big changes for that change from model year. And this is technically, it's a weird one in that, normally you go up in numbers like 5, 6, 7, 5 is smaller than 7, 6 is smaller than 7, 8's going to be bigger. In this case, the 7 has 3 rows, the 8s have 2. So this is just a 2-row SUV, which is a little bit weird. And it's got that, they call it an SUV coupe. So it has a little soupy kind of.
It's sort of coupish.
It's
slightly slanted forward.
When you look at the profile, it has a little coupe kind of thing. Like I feel like, Robbie, if you sat in the back seats, you might be thinking like, I might not have the headroom I want.
This is not like a BMW X6.
No,
this has a slightly fastback type of profile.
It has a slightly fastback, but it's important to note if you're all about having like huge passenger room, this isn't going to give you that kind of back seat that feels like this expansive back seat because it has a little bit of a slope to it. And it has a little less cargo room than the third. So if you're looking at the Q8 and like if you're kind of behind the front seats, there's 60.7 cubic feet in the SQ8. In the 7, there's 69.6 cubic feet. So you have, you've got more cargo room in that one too. So it's kind of weird where the Q7 and the Q8, it's not just bigger. They're actually different. They're not just making one SUV bigger. I love driving this. I thought it was super fun. The only thing that I'm not as keen on is the infotainment. I don't like it when they have the 2 screens. So there's the infotainment screen that's fine and it's a nice size and it's well integrated. But then they have a screen below that has the
climate controls,
the climate controls, that kind of stuff. And I sometimes the 2 and I miss buttons a little bit. There's a volume button, like a little knobby thing you roll up and down on the steering wheel. I just would like a volume button. So it was, so that's something I wasn't really super fan of, but in terms of delivering a very premium experience, delivering a driver's experience, someone who really wants to enjoy driving the car and isn't just looking for a toaster to get from A to B, the style of it. This one was in this beautiful red color. Let's see if it chili red metallic. It was fabulous color. It was absolutely beautiful car. Chili red metallic. So it was wonderful. I really enjoyed driving this. The single biggest drawback I can come up with is the fuel economy, but you don't buy this kind of car if you're looking for fuel economy. This is not your car for you. Like Sam said, go get an EV. But overall, I really enjoyed driving this. It was great. It was, being stuck in LA traffic where you're just crawling along. That's when as I'm leaning back, just kind of letting the car like coast because I can't even touch the gas at points. I think, this isn't the worst seat to just sit here and lean back and wait for traffic to crawl along. So I had a good time, whether I was stuck in traffic or in the brief moments where I got off the highway and where I had a little bit of time to open it up on the highway. I really thoroughly enjoyed my time with this car. Thumbs up.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah. I know one of the things about that Audi, the latest generation of the Audi MMI system with the dual screens, that lower screen, you actually have to press on the screen. It's not just it's just not just touching it like the top screen is just a standard touch screen. The bottom screen, you actually have to press it and it clicks when you press it. So it's kind of like the old BlackBerry Storm.
Haptic feedback. There you go. That's the word.
The haptic is good because then if you're not, the cool thing about haptic feedback is then you got the button.
Yeah.
You're not doing did I tap? Did it register my tap? And then if it's a half a second behind you, you've tapped 4 times, you only meant to tap twice. It's avoid that. But I'm just not a fan of that part of things. I don't that setup. I don't want that for my HVAC because I change it too much. I play around.
At least
with
it has manual vents.
It does. It does have manual vents. I had a long conversation.
That forgives a lot these days.
Well, okay, so I had a conversation with a random stranger on the flight back, and we were talking about EVs. She has a Polestar and she has a Q6 e-tron, I think she said. I
Mhm.
forgot which Polestar, but anyway, so she's got EVs. And she was asking me about the Rivian, and I was complaining about the vents, and she's like, "What engineer thought that was a good idea? Just random stranger on a
Yeah,
plane." Like, I
yeah.
don't know.
It's ah.
I think what she said was, "It's a case of just because you can doesn't mean you should." I
Yeah.
was like, "Correct, random stranger." Her
Exactly.
name was Olivia. She was lovely.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to have arrange to have another nice long conversation with Wasim Ben Said from Rivian. He's their head of software, and I
Yes.
mentioned this a couple weeks back when he was being interviewed on stage at TechCrunch Disrupt last month,
Mhm.
and the thing he said is that buttons and knobs and switches are an anomaly in cars. They're a mistake. He is very much in favor of doing it all.
It's just it's job security.
Yeah, but
Well, and
there's
realize
plenty
they
of
had a
software to do without having to deal with that.
without that, they actually had a brief, like, sort of cars and coffee kind of experience for media at their showroom in Venice ahead of the auto show, like the day before. And he was there and he was speaking there. It was interesting hearing him talking about what they have planned and how they're trying. They really see the software experience as something that's going to, make the Rivian not only different from everybody else, but also is going to just be the thing for customers. But he actually talked a lot about it. It was kind of interesting. He was saying that at one point everything was free and now they're starting to charge for things. I don't have it in front of me. They have, I forget the name of their thing, Connect Plus or something.
Yeah.
And people were mad because their Spotify suddenly was like free when they went to bed. And when they woke up in the morning, their Spotify was only available through a charge. Like, what the heck? But his thing is, he'd said they'd always said that they were going to charge for things and that they're doing everything they can to keep the system like to offer improvements that are there for everyone, but some of them are going to cost because data is expensive and you got to pay for data somehow.
And the software development is expensive.
Exactly. And he said, they have plans and they want to continue to improve the customer experience. And he said, sort of like a cost of doing business, some of that has to be passed on to people. And he said they're trying it was cool though that they're trying very hard. At some point, the hardware in the vehicle is not going to be good enough for the software updates that they could do. But for as long as they can support whatever they roll out on the latest generation, they're going to roll out to the older generations for as long as they possibly can. He was very adamant about we're trying to do that for as long as we can and to make it something that people don't think like, wah, wah, I bought my car at the wrong time. And that was a hot minute before mine was, outdated compared to the new guys. So it was interesting talking to him. The vents did not come up. I did not have a chance. I had to leave right after it was over. I've been like, dude, the vents, what's up with that? I did not get that chance.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote a white paper several years ago for a company. It was really software tools company called Aurora Labs, and it was the title was automotive over the air updates, a cost consideration guide. And in doing the research for that, it's actually really expensive to do OTA updates.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they don't give it to you for free in perpetuity.
Right.
Because there's the cost of developing the software, but even just the cost of deploying it when you have like when Tesla started, when they had relatively few cars on the road, the cost was fairly modest. But when you now have millions or tens of millions or hundreds of millions of cars on the road that need to be updated, that cost gets really big, really, really fast.
Right.
And so, companies are having to figure out, okay, how do we do this? How do we structure our software to try and minimize those costs?
And I think that's important, and as people like with the cost, there's subscription for so many things out there. It's not like it's a weird thing to charge a subscription fee at this point, but especially for startups like Rivian, when you don't make enough money, that's how you become Fisker.
Yeah.
One of the ways you become Fisker. Like if you like the company, if you're thinking they're doing a good product and they're continuing to improve and it's a good thing, which I think most of us agree, Rivian makes a good product. It's like, don't begrudge them where they're saying, look, this is a freebie we can no longer give you. The time has come to charge for it, because if you just give everything away, you don't make any money. You don't have a company. Companies have to make money to continue paying people to make their cars.
Yep.
So,
all right. Robbie, what have you been driving?
So I want to point out that the car that Nicole was driving was a 4-liter V8 with a twin turbo. So,
Yes.
and you got like 17 miles to the gallon. I was driving
Yes.
a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder hybrid from Toyota.
Mm-hmm.
I drove the Land Cruiser this week, and I drove it to LA and back for another band, and I got the entire time I was driving that car 19.5 miles per gallon.
Oof. Suddenly SQ8 doesn't look so bad, does it?
And I'm so confused by this situation. Okay, so to preface before I continue complaining about the lack of efficiency, I really like the Land Cruiser. I like the way it looks. I like the way it drives. I think it was actually quite comfortable, for a long drive down to LA and back. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do any off-roading with it because that's, sort of its jam. But it has so many buttons, and I love all the little buttons that it
Which
has.
version did you have?
I had just the old regular one. I didn't have
With the round headlights?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, no.
Or the Land Cruiser,
Ooh.
I had the Land Cruiser, not
Okay.
the.
It's not.
Not
I think
the,
the one with the round headlights. I think it's the 1958. That's
yeah,
that's the base model.
Yeah, I didn't have the 1958. So yeah, it just boggles my mind that the people, the company that has essentially introduced, and well, they didn't introduce it, but they popularized hybrid powertrains, put one in a truck, and it still doesn't do that great.
Well, and this is true for all of their
efficiency.
truck hybrids. The Tundra, the Tacoma, the Sequoia, none of them are particularly efficient.
Which is not great.
It's just confusing is what it is, because I have the Camry right now. I just got it the other day, and it's got it's right now I'm at like 38.5 miles per gallon or something goofy, the Camry hybrid, which I'm like, all right, yeah, that's. But when you tell me like, well, I only got 17 miles per gallon in the SQ8, and it's got a V8, 4-liter V8 twin turbo monster machine, and it's ready to eat up the world, and I'm like, I got the Land Cruiser, and it's got the iForce Max, with turbo engine with hybrid, and I'm getting, on the way to LA it was 20.5. On the way back after everything was said and done, it was 19.5. So let's split the difference at $20, at 20, not $20, but 20 miles per
Yeah.
gallon. That's still below the combined 23 at city 22, highway 25, and I wasn't like blasting down to LA like crazy fast, because to be honest, I wasn't driving my EV. When I drive my EV, I'm just like, woo, because there's just like power all the time, just nonstop power. What are you doing? 85? You know what? You can just go up to 100 to pass this person. You shouldn't do that. Don't listen to me. But yeah, no, okay. So let's go back to past that.
It's a theoretical thing that you could do.
Yeah,
Theoretically, you could go that
theoretically,
fast.
I could do that
Not
thing.
that you did, but you could.
Other than that, I love, I got it, and for some reason I thought it was bigger, and then I got it and it was a little bit smaller than what I anticipated, and I was really happy about that, because I'm like, this is just the right size for this vehicle. It's a mid-size SUV. It's got that little wobbly bit where it's an off-roader, where it's not like super tight suspension. You get that nice little wobble that you have with a vehicle like that, and it was comfortable. There was lots of room. I was able to throw a lot of gear in the back of it, so you could, if you're in a band and you want to go somewhere, you can put all your stuff back there. Yeah, no, I really liked the vehicle. Oh, and it had so they had of course, because whenever they send us these cars, most of the time they give us like the best of the best. So this one had the Land Cruiser Premium Package, which is
Ooh.
$4,600. So it had a better, stereo system, which is nice, and then digital key, which I don't know. I never used a digital key on any. I mean, I have digital key on my car, and I'm like, eh.
I never used it. I never do that.
I never use the digital key, because I'm always afraid, like, oh, but you can leave your key at home. I'm like, it's not taking up that much space in my pocket. It's a key, and
Because that's the
I
moment
still have my
somebody
house key. Like, what am I? What you're taking one key away, and it's not even a stabby key. It's
yeah,
just a little
I'm
block.
convinced it's going to fail. I'm convinced that when I do the digital key, that's the moment it's like, no, enjoy being stuck at the airport at midnight. Like, I just can't do it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's me as well. But it had one of my favorite things that I wish every car had. It's a center console cool box. And this one was really, really cold. So I was just shoving Red Bulls in it the entire time, driving up and down the state. It had a head-up display, lane change assist. I really, Toyota's driver's assistance is actually really nice when it comes to the sort of very relaxed acceleration and deceleration when you got cut-ins and when you got people moving out of your way. It felt a lot better than a lot of systems still out there. There's still a lot of systems out there that as soon as someone pulls away, it just slams on the accelerator and just flies you into the car in front. Or when a car like pulls out in front of you, even though there's enough room for it to like gradually slow down, they'll just keep going and then slam on the brakes. This one has a really nice gradual slowdown, so I really appreciated that. They gave me one in the this really nice blue. It is called Smoky Blue. And
Ooh.
for some reason, Smoky isn't. I don't know. No, let's see what they call it on the site. Oh my gosh, what is going on the site? It's anarchy. Anyway, Smoky Blue. It's at that light, sort of. I guess like a baby blue. Oh wait, they call it Heritage
Blue. Yeah, that's
Why
the
is it
same as
called
the one I had.
Smoky? Why is it called Smoky Blue on the Monroney?
Maybe they
Somebody
changed it
lying
between
to
the
you.
time they printed the Monroney and the time it actually went on sale.
All right, there we go. Well, it's called Heritage Blue now. It's really nice. I really like this color. It reminded me of my Kona. I don't know why it used to be smoky blue because there's nothing smoky about it, to be honest. Yeah, no,
Maybe
it's
that's
kind
why
of
they
ready for
changed it.
everything. Yeah, it's got it's got 4-wheel drive. You can you put in 4-wheel drive low, which of course I didn't do because I mean there's no real reason to go in 4-wheel drive low in
I did just so I could say I did, and I
in
even locked
LA.
both differentials.
Oh, you got locked them diffs. So it like rained. I guess I could have done that. But no, I really like the vehicle, but completely and utterly confused by the lack of any sort of real efficiency. And the whole time I was driving it, it's got an 8-speed automatic transmission, but I think what happens is I start getting really spoiled by driving a lot of EVs. And you get in a car and you push on the accelerator and there's that little that delay between depressing the accelerator and the motor catching up and the transmission catching up, and the whole time I'm like, man, this would make an awesome EV.
Yeah,
This would be cool if only.
If only it's like a really great size for people who want to do off-roading. You could probably put like 86 90 kilowatt hour battery in there if you really shoved it in there. But yeah, no. So the Land Cruiser, it starts at $62,000. After they put all the crazy things, including 20-inch alloy wheels. The one I was driving was $70,029 with the delivery and all that jazz. How much do you think is delivery?
Nicole, you go first.
$14.95.
I'll say $12.95.
Oh, I guess it's a tie. It was $13.95.
I almost said 13.
I was going to say $14.95 until you said it, Nicole.
I've had so many Toyotas lately. I'm like, wait, is it 12? Is it 14? Is it 13?
Because I just had
you're both
the
winners
Land Cruiser a few weeks ago, and I couldn't remember what it was, and I was thinking it was 14. The problem with this one, is they put all the good off-roading gear on there. It's got skid plates, it's got locking diffs, it's got 2-range
all the bells and whistles,
except
never doing
for the tires and the wheels. The tires and the wheels on this thing are totally. They clearly understand that 99% of the people who buy this thing, at least first, probably second owners, are never ever going to take this thing off road. So it's got these basic all-season tires on it that they are going to be completely hopeless if you take it off road.
Yeah. But that's the crazy thing is that those tires should give it better gas mileage instead of big knobby, AT.
You look at the Land Cruiser though. This is not a particularly slick aerodynamic shape. This is a big block, which looks great, but the airflow over it, not fantastic. And the truck hybrids, the the rear drive hybrid systems that they're doing for the trucks and SUVs are really set up more for performance than for fuel economy. Because they've dropped their bigger engines, so like the Tacoma or the Tundra and the Sequoia don't have V8s anymore. They've got turbo 4s and turbo 6s and these things, and so the more performance, the higher power versions of these vehicles are the hybrids. So they they get significantly better performance than the non-hybrid versions, although some like the trail or the Land Cruiser aren't available without a hybrid, at least here in North America. Others like the Tacoma, that is built on the same basic platform, you can get it as just the turbo 4 or the hybrid, and the advantage, you get the extra performance with the hybrid system that you would have in the past gotten from a bigger engine, but without any fuel economy penalty compared to the base engine. Now that you don't get particularly great fuel economy, and like on the Tundra, when you compare it to an F-150 hybrid, it gets several miles per gallon less, but it's got similar output to the Ford hybrid system. So Ford clearly has figured out something, some way to get a little better fuel economy out of it. And Toyota, I think, needs to do a little more work on this hybrid system that they're putting on the trucks and utilities.
Well, they're Akio Toyota is just whining and whining and whining about EVs, and I'm like, well, maybe if you made more efficient vehicles, I might have I mean, I really don't have much, like, I don't feel bad for him at all. He just doesn't like EVs, which, sure, whatever, dude. I mean, you gave us the GR86, so and the GR Corolla, so what are you gonna do? You give us some great cars, but also you don't like the thing that you guys could clearly really kill it on, but but then I look at what they're offering in gas engines with hybrids, and I'm like, oh, maybe they can do it.
Well, I mean, on their cars and their crossovers, they do great. It's just this particular hybrid system is not great for fuel efficiency.
Yeah.
But they have shown that concept, that little baby Land Cruiser.
I know.
Which is electric.
They showed that whole big thing, all those vehicles, and everyone's been going nuts about the little mini FJ or the mini Land Cruiser, and God knows when we're going to get that thing, because the chairman is complaining about how California, which a thing that won't happen for 11 years, and we're already at 20% like EV sales in this state, and they're like, it's not going to happen. I'm like, man, come on. It's 11 years from now. We're already at 20% here. Come on. Just give us the little tiny thing you showed. Just give us the things you showed us, and we will buy the things you showed us. We will be people will be very happy to give Toyota a lot of money for an EV.
Especially for that one, I think.
Especially for that. Oh, people are going to lose their minds.
Yep.
All right. I do like that heritage blue on the Land Cruiser. I think it's a good color.
It's really nice. Yeah. No, it's a great little color. I loved it.
Yeah. And I mean, get one and just immediately take off. If you're going to go off road, just take off the wheels and tires and buy some better wheels and tires, and you should wait. They have the Trail Hunter that's coming, but they haven't launched that one yet.
I mean,
so who knows what.
They know who their owners are. They're people who buy and outfit their vehicles. But it's really funny because they have a picture of the vehicle fording through water and like some trail with those all seasons.
Yeah. Or alternatively, the other thing, when I talked about driving the Land Cruiser a few weeks ago, what I suggested was, at $70,000 for the Land Cruiser, you might actually be better off to just spend a little bit extra. I mean, if you're going to spend $70,000 anyway, maybe just consider going a little, spending just a little bit more and getting the GX, the Lexus GX, which is the same vehicle, but with a turbo V6 instead of the 4-cylinder. It is also available with the hybrid. So it's got significantly more power, and you can get it as the the Overtrail, which actually has, off-road all-terrain tires, it's got the skid plates and all that stuff, and you can get that one right now. But even if you just go
is it
for
still
a
getting
street,
like 20
a
miles
street
per
version,
gallon?
Probably about 17 or 18, but if you're spending that kind of money, you probably don't care that much. All right. Yeah. Cause let's see, the Overtrail starts at 69,250. And so, that, the GX550 Overtrail, that might actually be a better option.
I like the way the Land Cruiser looks though. I think it looks better.
It's all about the style, baby.
And again, that's what
fair.
it comes down to. Cars are mostly emotional purchases.
That's right.
They are.
I mean, they're not mostly.
If we were at all rational about cars, almost none of the stuff that we actually get to drive and test and talk about would be what anyone would buy. We would all be driving around in much smaller cars.
For sure.
Smartphones have gotten way more expensive over the past decade, and all it takes is one impact on a hard floor to make you wish you had spent a few bucks to put a case on it. Going online without ExpressVPN is like not having a case for your phone, and it only costs a few dollars a month. Nicole, Robbie, and I travel a lot for our work, and we spend a lot of time in hotels, coffee shops, airplanes, and of course the Delta Sky Club. Connecting to the Wi-Fi in any public places with shared Wi-Fi puts your data at risk because bad actors could be intercepting what you send and using it to steal from you. It only takes some cheap hardware to intercept Wi-Fi data, and even a smart preteen can do it. Hackers can make up to $1,000 per victim selling personal information on the dark web. ExpressVPN stops the bad guys by creating a secure, encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet. ExpressVPN uses state-of-the-art encryption that would take a supercomputer up to 1 billion years to crack. I have ExpressVPN on all my devices, including a MacBook Pro, Windows laptops and desktops, and Android and iOS phones and laptops, or tablets. When I want to be secure, I just launch the app, click once to connect, and my data is secure. As I said, I travel a lot for my work, and I have to connect to countless public Wi-Fi networks in many countries. I have ExpressVPN on all my connected devices so that whoever else is on the same network can't see any of my data. That's important because I often have to check banks, credit card accounts, and transmit client data that might be sensitive, as well as filing articles on news that might be under embargo. ExpressVPN protects all of it, and I've been paying for my own account for years. Secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/wheelbearings. That's expressvpn.com/wheelbearings, and you can get an extra 4 months for free. expressvpn.com/wheelbearings.
Everyone's talking about AI these days, right? This season on Compiler, we're diving deep into how AI is reshaping the world we live in. Join us for a new season of Compiler, an original podcast from Red Hat. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.
One of the hardest parts of getting older is feeling like something's off in your body, but not knowing exactly what. It's not just aging, it's often your hormones too. When they fall out of balance, everything feels off. But here's the good news. This doesn't have to be the story of your next chapter. Hormone Harmony by Happy Mammoth is an herbal formula made with science-backed ingredients designed to fine-tune your hormones by balancing estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, and even stress hormones like cortisol. It helps with common issues such as hot flashes, poor sleep, low energy, bloating, and more. With over 40,000 reviews and a bottle sold every 24 seconds, the results speak for themselves. A survey found 86% of women lost weight, 77% saw an improved mood, and 100% felt like themselves again. Start your next chapter feeling balanced and in control. For a limited time, get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com with code NEXTCHAPTER at checkout. Visit happymammoth.com today and get your old self back naturally.
Did you know you can support Wheel Bearings directly? Head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia and you can become a patron today. Your contributions will help fund the platforms and tools we use to bring the podcast to you. And exclusives and improvements are already on the way thanks to your generosity. So if you want to be part of an automotive podcast like no other, head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia. We've updated the Wheel Bearings merch store, and now there's a whole bunch of new choices, new colors, new styles, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, mugs, travel mugs, stickers, aprons, tote bags, you name it. You can get your Wheel Bearings merch at shop.wheelbearings.media. Go check it out. That's shop.wheelbearings.media.
Before you review yours, can I mention something? I forgot about something from last week that Robbie didn't get. Remember, I was questioning the cargo room in the Sienna?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember? Because it was so drastically different. And I did reach out to, my screen refreshed. I did reach out to the folks at Toyota and said, hey, so as a refresher for anyone who didn't hear it, I was looking at the cargo measurements for the minivan on Toyota's site behind the first row, it's 101 cubic feet. But I happened to be doing a comparison. Odyssey's was 140.7 and the Pacifica was 140.5, which seemed really weird. We were hypothesizing it had to do with the seat, Sam, and that's pretty much what Toyota said. They said the Odyssey's second row is removable. The Pacifica has the stow and go, so their second row is out of the way when they're measuring.
So the Sienna's second row seats don't.
So the Sienna, you can push them really far forward, like so they're right up against
but they're still there.
They're still there taking up space. So it technically takes it. So that, because I kept looking at it and I was questioning, like, this can't be
because they're
right.
all the same, roughly the same size.
Right. I'm like, I can see a little bit here and there, but I'm like, that 30, what? That number's too big. That's why the number's so big. Okay. So it is sort of like a negative on the Sienna. You can't take those seats out. And that is why the cargo room was so drastically different. So I just wanted to mention that because I said I would follow up, and I wanted to follow up for anybody who was curious.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I have the 2025 Toyota Camry XSE, which for 2025, despite what Toyota said when they launched this car last year at the LA Auto Show, it is not all new. It is it is a mid-cycle update. The front end and the back end are pretty notably changed, especially the front end. And the really big change to the Camry is the powertrains. There's no longer a standard gas powertrain available in the Camry. It is now 100% hybrids, hybrid only in this thing. So if you want a new Camry, you will get it with a hybrid. And apparently somebody in my neighborhood wanted one because I saw one in their driveway this morning as I was walking the pooches. Fortunately, they chose a better color than the one that I had. I had the what do they call it? Heavy metal, which is gray.
Wait, we have
it's a really dark.
We have the exact same car right now. We are both.
Does yours have the black roof?
Yeah, it's the heavy metal with
the black roof, the two-tone.
What color is the inside, guys?
Yeah. Mine's like blood red.
Yeah, so is mine. Cockpit red.
That's what we all have. That is apparently all they're giving us. They have the exact same one.
Well, the entire press fleet. They somebody went through and said, okay, we're going to order 10 Camrys, all in heavy metal with a black roof and the red interior. So whatever you might think of the grayness of the exterior, it is more than made up for by the interior. But before I get to the interior, the front end, especially the headlights, the new headlights, are very much like those on the Prius. So very very slim, very sleek looking. It's a good looking front end. I like the front end on this thing. And with the wheels that are on it, it's got these wheels that look like they're kind of twisted. The spokes, they're very attractive. It's not a bad looking car. Just the even though most of the sheet metal is carried over from the 24 and the last couple of years, nothing wrong with that. It's actually a decent looking car. It's not nearly.
I picked up the bass player for my band yesterday from Bart on the way to the show, and he's like, "Oh, this is a Camry." So that's so there you go. That's his review.
Yeah, no, it's good. I have no complaints about the design. I just I wish they would put some in the press fleet with more interesting colors like The red.
I like
They
it. It
did.
was
It's just interesting on the inside.
so
The,
they spec these out. These aren't just like random rejects that they like grab or oh, let's just
yeah,
grab that.
yeah.
They specifically spec these out for the fleets, and the fact that they've spec'd all of them, at least two of them exactly the same, and that Sam and I both
3,
had the
I
exact
can't
same
imagine.
car right now.
Because I had it, you had it, Sam has it, and we're sort of each a different region. And it was not that long ago I had the Camry. I'm going to bet we literally have 3 physically different cars that are exactly the same.
Yes, I'm sure they do. Yeah. The one that my neighbors have is the Ocean Gem with the black roof. So that is sort of a green,
that's
sort of
nice.
a dark teal. It's a really good looking color. I
Ooh,
like it
that
a lot.
sounds cool.
And if you want to look, if you want to get really bold, go for the supersonic red. That that one definitely stands out. But I think the Ocean Gem is a good color as well. But yeah, like yours, mine has this bold red interior, red seats, red inserts on the door panels, red trim on the dashboard. It's very in your face when you get in the car, and it's something.
I like it.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I've not complaining. It's just it is what it is.
It's a lot.
It's like business on the outside, party inside.
Yes, exactly. And given that you spend when your time when you're driving on the inside, that's really where you want the party to be. You want to be entertained while you're in the car, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who cares about entertaining the rest of the world that's looking at you driving your car? You want to be
They're on their
Or
own.
finding your car in the parking lot. Who cares about stuff like that?
Yeah. Yeah, well, the heavy metal definitely tends to blend in, especially this time of year in November. It's very gray around here, and in fact, right now I have 2 more gray vehicles in my driveway that I'll talk about next week. So it's like gray. It's like, oh, come on, guys, give me something different.
I too. I have a vehicle to talk about next week that's like a silvery gray, and I was trying to take pictures. It's overcast. I'm like, I can't even see the car. It's just blending with the world.
Yeah. So anyway, the let me where my Monroney go. The Camry XSE. This one is not the all-wheel drive. This one is front-wheel drive, and it has a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. The Toyota, the latest generation, I think it's the 5th generation Toyota hybrid system. 232 combined horsepower. Which is, it's adequate. It's nothing to complain about. It's definitely better than previous generations of Camry. It's about 30 more horsepower or so than prior Camry hybrids. And it's got all Toyotas now, come with the Toyota Safety Sense 3.0 package. So you get things like blind spot monitoring, with radar, adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, all that good stuff. The one that I have also has the Premium Plus package at $4,075.
Hey, mine also has the Premium Plus package. Whoa. I'm piggybacking on your review with this right now, because I was like, maybe I should talk about this next week. I'm like, nah, we got the same car. Let's just do it all now.
I bet you Nicole has the
I gotta look, yeah, because mine's a week or so ago, but it did.
The Premium Plus package includes traffic jam assist, which is nominally like hands-free driving, but only it speeds up to about 35 miles an hour. So basically, if you're stuck in stop and go traffic, like for you, Nicole, driving around LA would have been great, because you could even take your hands off the wheel. It's got infrared driver monitor camera and all that stuff. It
asks you, it's like, hey, is it cool if I watch you?
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. I've never seen that on anything else but a Toyota. All the Toyotas with this.
Like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to make sure this is okay. Can I watch you?
Uh,
You're like, I guess.
one advantage you get, is in addition to the 2 rear corner radars, you get 2 front corner radar sensors, which gives you cross traffic alert on the front as well as on the back. So when you're at an intersection, if there's a car coming on the cross street there, it will alert you if there's a car coming from either direction. And if you have the heads up display like this one does, it'll actually show it in the HUD. So, just in case you're planning to make a turn, it'll let you know, especially if you're like going to turn on a red light or something like that. It'll remind you, hey, there's a car coming. You might want to hold off for a few seconds. Is the panoramic view monitor, the lane change assist, the rear park assist, whatever. 9 speaker, only 9 speakers. Come on, guys. It's 2024. You can do better than that. JBL premium audio system, the heads up display, all the digital key stuff, which, you mentioned that earlier. Most of the time on press cars, I don't bother setting that up because usually you have to set that up through the manufacturer's app on your phone. And since we don't own the cars, sometimes you can do that, like with the Ford Pass app. We can go in and if you create your own Ford Pass account, you can go in and set up, put in the VIN number for the car, scan the barcode on the door, and it'll work. Other times, they already have, like Toyota already has them set up with a press account. And I think if we asked Toyota, we could probably get the login information for that.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, they all basically work the same, the digital key systems.
Yeah.
The panoramic glass roof, all that stuff is part of that premium plus package for $4,000. Out of all that,
No cooler though. No little metal.
no cooler,
No cooler.
not
It's almost as much as the other car. I guess
Yeah.
how much was the difference? It's like a $500
how much was it
difference. So
on
that $500 difference is 40. It's 4,600 on the
that's for the cooler.
on the Land Cruiser. That's the cooler.
Okay. Yeah, $1,500 for these dark gray metallic wheels, the 19-inch wheels, which don't do much for your fuel economy, but they look good. Pretty expensive though for those wheels. What else? So a bunch of other options on here. Overall, genuinely a nice car to drive. The Toyota hybrid system, not quite as much fun as Honda's hybrid system. I had the Civic hybrid a couple weeks ago, and slightly less power in that one. It's only like 201 or 202 horsepower. It's also slightly smaller car. It's one size class down. But that one felt more lively than the Toyota hybrid. And the way it was all tuned, both of them function pretty much the same. They're an ECVT system. So it's a planetary gear that's controlled by the gear set that's controlled by the 2 motors. But the way Honda has tuned theirs, it's a little more interesting to drive. And it doesn't do quite as much of the motorboating effect that Toyota hybrids tend to do. And this one is rated at 44 city, 43 highway, 44 combined. I got about 39.
I'm rolling 38.5 right now.
Yeah. So, 38 to 40 miles per gallon for a car this size is really, really good. The Civic was only slightly smaller than this. Still has a very roomy back seat. I got 47 with that one, and it was more fun to drive. So, I think if I was buying for myself or for my wife, I would definitely go with the Civic. But this one, you can't complain about nearly 40 miles per gallon in a pretty good sized car. I mean, you can comfortably carry 5 people in this thing.
I put band gear in mine and it worked fine.
Yeah. So yeah,
every view is like, I had a show, I put some stuff in it, it was fine.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, that's what we do. I mean, we actually use these vehicles, and use them, hopefully the way, consumers would use them. Like you put your band gear in warm weather months, I put my paddleboard in there, and if the paddleboard fits, then, great, put the dogs, whatever. And so, using it as real customers would hopefully use them, and it works, So no real complaints, other than with that $4,000 premium plus package, it does raise the total price to $45,431.
Which is
Robbie,
a lot for mine was
42,195.
I don't know how that
No,
happened.
so
I don't know what I'm missing. Something.
Do you have the $1,500 wheels?
I do have the $1,500 wheels. I don't. I got special color 420. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Okay.
But maybe I have a note. But I will say that of the two Toyotas that I've had in a row, the Land Cruiser seats were more comfortable. The seats in the Camry do not. They feel really stiff, and I'm like, this is like a commuter car. Like, this is a car you take on long drives, and I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever get used to these seats. So just a reminder that, like, go out and sit in the car that you want to buy.
I did like the Civic seats better than this. I think I think maybe they didn't fit you. The Camry seats maybe didn't fit you quite as well as me, but they also weren't as comfortable as the Honda seats. The Honda seats are definitely better. And, Honda has traditionally done a really good job with seats. So, to me, they weren't bad, but they weren't quite as comfortable as and as supportive as I would like. The Hondas were definitely better.
I think Nicole had the same issue when she was driving the Camry. She felt like it's not sporty in any way.
No.
It's fine. It's not like it's a horrible car.
Yeah, it's a Camry. What are you doing? What are you thinking? Just get the Camry.
Like, for a Camry, it's great, but it's like if you're looking for a super engaging drive, that's not Camry's mission, I guess.
No, it's not its jam.
It's kind of like being mad at the SQ8 because it doesn't get good enough fuel economy. Don't buy that car. If you want a super engaging, enthusiast car, don't buy a Camry. But what it does really well.
Yeah.
I like it.
And, I mean, even though it's not a sports car, compared to, if you compare this to, I think, the first time I drove a Camry hybrid was back in about 2007. Compared to that car, that generation, so that's probably about 3 generations ago. The driving experience is so much better in this than it was in those older Camrys. So like I said, it's not a sports car, but it does a good job of soaking up the bumps and keeping the body relatively flat when you go around corners, and it's responsive enough. It will suit 98% of drivers' needs, as a car to get around in, to haul a couple of kids around in, or haul your band gear, or haul your paddleboard and a couple of dogs. All of that stuff works. Really
or Nicole and all of her giant family members.
Yeah.
Oh, my giant family members. When the whole crew is in town, when the clan arrives in a couple of days.
All right. Since you probably even have the Monroney open, I'm not even going to ask you, Robbie, about the delivery charge. But Nicole, what do you think that delivery charge?
$12.95? It was. I said 14,
and
it was 13.
I think, for the $13.95 for the Land Cruiser.
And it's less. $12.95.
$10.95.
Gosh dang it! I couldn't remember. I knew there's they have one for other cars and one for their SUVs. I'm like, son of a gun.
But you win by default.
You win by default. You're a winner. You've won twice today.
Woohoo! Go me.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to leave up holiday decorations year-round. Others have the need to use their garage as practice space for their new metal band. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.
All right. Let's start off with the new Jaguar branding.
Oh, do we have to? Because that means I have to look at this.
It sounds like you don't like it.
Okay, I want to like it. I'm all for reinventing yourself. And what is this? This is, and I know that we're appealing to a new generation, and we want to get to new people. I don't know. I showed this, my kids were laughing about this. So I
Well,
knew
what were
about
they
this
laughing
ad.
at? Were they laughing just at the
They
Jaguar
thought it was they
brand
just thought it was
or
stupid.
the whole
Like, it
ad?
was weird. The whole ad. And this is like a 20 and 22-year-old. They're like, this is like it was because it's making the rounds outside of like even like we're talking about it as car people, right? They're not car people. They both message me and it's like, Mom, did you see this? This is so bad. And I was like, what's actually? It's just weird. It makes no sense. It feels, and to them, they don't think it's like copy nothing and move forward. They think it looks old school and dated. Like they think it's just dated. Like that's not some
Feels
hip
like
trendy new
80s
idea,
80s colors of Benetton.
right? Well,
It's
I
an
think that,
80s
I mean that,
Benetton ad, which is like fine.
but
This is awesome in the
Well,
80s.
except, in an 80s Benetton ad, would you see a bunch of people with funky makeup like this and these weird outfits that they were wearing? Or would you see pretty people, beautiful people in colorful sweaters and shirts and things like that?
Yeah.
you would see beautiful people in color, but the style of it though, Robbie's right. It's got a Benetton vibe to it. I mean, other than the clothes being different because the clothes are Benetton, you could see this being a Benetton ad today and it would work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For them, it would work. If it was them, I'd be like, hey, okay, that
All right.
that tracks. But
Yeah.
this is just an odd. It's just odd. And I
It's
know they're trying to make waves and get us to see stuff. And hey, we're a whole new brand and we're kicking our whole heritage to the curb. And it's like, but like, could we see a car in here maybe?
Yes,
Because right now
there's
you're
a
just
thing
showing
is that you
the
can't
model.
say we're changing, we're different, we're copying nothing, or whatever their tagline is. We got to see the car. I mean, great. You hired a bunch of models, you dressed them up, you put them on a pink background. Okay, fine. But at the end of the day, Jaguars have always been the cars that like old white British dudes really love. And I know this because I know an old white British dude and he loves Jaguars. So
And
if you're trying to change it, you need to show the car as well because hey, this
Well,
doesn't
to be
talk to
fair, they
your
are showing the car on December 2nd, I think.
yes, so
yeah.
they're gonna show, but in this ad to do this whole thing and have no hint of the car, and also exactly what you're saying, Robbie, old white British dudes, and I get that they're like old white British dudes are old, and so you got to appeal to a younger audience. But I don't know what younger audience. The fact that this did not resonate at all with my daughter
Young.
and her friends, and not that they're the, I was just like, well, that's a miss. Like, so who are they trying to appeal to? Like, I'm trying to think if you think about it, you're really a hip, young, urban professional. You've got cash in the bank to blow on a luxury car, or you will soon, and you're aspiring. Does this reach that group? Because I think in some ways there's the copy. Nothing doesn't work. I feel like this is just derivative of a million like fashion ad campaigns. So it doesn't feel especially like, wow, Jaguar's new. It's like, wow, Jaguar's trying really hard to make themselves look hip, and they're not. You know.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, there's a teaser image out there of the concept that they're going to show, which is a preview of the first of their new EVs, a four-door
Mhm.
GT that's coming out end of next year. And I have a feeling that if they actually showed the vehicle as this, I agree. I think that this ad was a complete miss. But if they showed it and maybe we'll see something with the vehicle in this context. Although I'm not sure that any of this is necessarily going to help the vehicle, but the vehicle is very, from what the teaser image, it's very clearly
Yeah.
very different from previous Jaguars.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think the the Verge article that highlights the fact that the word mark, the Jaguar word mark, is now this mixed case. The J, the G, and the U are uppercase, and the two A's and the R are lowercase. Which visually, because everything is kind of round in this, kind of trying to do them all the same case wouldn't work either. But it's when you see it, once you see it, it's like that seeing the arrow and the FedEx logo. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once this has been highlighted, it's like, oh yeah, that is kind of weird.
Right.
I'm less concerned about the case thing just because,
Yeah.
but I think if they had shown that teaser image, that rear three quarter, not even three quarter, that rear half the back of something. If they had shown it in this video, then it would have been like, okay, all right. But it was just like, we're changing. Okay, it's like the Infinity ads
Yeah,
from
the original. I was thinking about the original Infinity ads from
which
1990 with the
which
rocks
didn't
and the water and
water and like water dripping, and everyone's like, what the hell's going on? And dealers were losing their minds because like, we can't sell a car if you're showing us people like rocks and water. That's not. And so, nothing. Yeah, it didn't help them. And I think Jaguar doesn't have a lot of money. That's the other thing, is like they're not doing great as a brand. And so to spend a lot of money, because ads are not cheap, you have to pay people, and to do this without actually showing a car, even a teaser of the concept, seems like just a very weird decision. And if you could add all these people and they could have like the flashes of the car or something, just something.
It's just there's that's the thing. Everybody who looks at it has a different little thing. You're like, well, I don't like the way the font is, or I don't like that there was no car, or I don't like that it was this. I have not seen anybody, and I've had friends who put this up again who are not car people, and like, look at this weird ad that Jaguar's put up, and the random hoi polloi that has responded, they all dislike something. Nobody likes it. Everyone's like, this is just so odd. Like, it doesn't seem to resonate with anybody. So
It's completely off base with the brand, I think, is
yeah.
what it is. And if you want the brand to be this, that's I mean, I guess that's fine. But even when the cars come out, it takes a long time to change perceptions of. Ask Hyundai about how
Right.
long it takes for perception of a brand to change. I mean, we're talking decades and decades since the Hyundai Excel, which again, a trash car. And there's still people. I still talk to people like, I would never buy a Hyundai. Why?
Right.
Because in the 90s, a Hyundai was a trash car, and I'm like, you're right, it was a trash car, but they're actually really good cars now. They're like, I don't know. So
And it still has that. I mean, I do the same thing, Robbie. People still, when I recommend a Hyundai or a Kia product, look at me like I'm insane. And I think, no, because you're remembering that product from so many years ago. It is nothing like it was. I wouldn't have recommended it to you back then.
yeah,
I'll recommend
totally
it to
would.
you now. And they still don't trust you, right? They still look at you like,
I
I
don't
guess it's
know.
your job and So, I mean, for Jaguar to try and make that change, I think it's like, oof,
So,
good luck.
I mean,
I'm not rooting against them. I'm rooting for them. I don't want the brand to die, but I'm like, oh, guys, I don't know if this is the right way. I don't know.
I don't know. If I want Jaguar to succeed. I really like the fact that the I-Pace was like essentially like outside of the Model X, like one of the first EVs, and they just went all in, and it was actually a pretty good car. It was good. It was fun to drive. We took it to a track. I took it fording through water. I went up over a mountain with it. Like it was I was like, good for you, Jaguar. They made the decision like, we're just going to do it, and they did it. And then they just don't have the capital to continue to do it, and that's the issue. And to say like, well, we're gonna now we're gonna be bright and colorful and slightly weird, is I mean, I guess if they're gonna be a bright, colorful, slightly weird company, I'm excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I would still like to see some of the car in the because you're a car company. You're not a perfume company. You're not a you're not selling perfume. You're not selling Virgin Air uh, you know uh, uh, tickets. You're Jaguar. So I don't know. Show us a car and maybe a kitty cat. I don't know.
Yeah, they probably should have had at least one of the models, sitting there petting a white long-haired cat or something like that.
Oh
Yeah.
God, that would have been like, haha, okay, I get it,
All
Jaguar, cool
right,
little cat.
Jaguar. Yeah. But I don't know. It's someone comes in, they pitch a CEO like the ads, and the CEO is like, that's it. We're going, and at the end of the day, maybe this is maybe absolutely everyone's wrong, and in 3 years we're going to be like, remember that weird ad? But now that's exactly what Jaguar is, and they're doing really well. Maybe that'll happen. That's what they're hoping.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed for Jaguar.
All right,
Or
well,
Jaguar.
all right, let's shift to another storied British brand, Lotus. Lotus announced a couple of years ago they're now owned by Geely, as seemingly as almost everybody, and they announced a couple of years back that when they launched the Emira, which is their current sports car, that would be their last internal combustion car. Everything else going forward was going to be electric. And they've since launched the Electra SUV, the Maya electric sedan, and now they're saying, yeah, maybe we're a little too quick to go all electric, and so we're gonna start launching some EREVs, some extended range EVs in the next few years. What do you think?
I can't say I'm surprised because I think everybody's sort of backpedaling a bit that, well, we didn't mean all electric, we just meant electrified, and they're all
Yeah.
they're
Lotus
all
is
making changes. The market isn't moving it that fast to EVs.
Yeah, Lotus isn't they're a niche automaker. They're not making a lot of cars, so the cars they sell, they need to be able to sell them, or the cars they build and be able to sell them. I think it's fine for a brand like that to say, oh, this is actually really hard, because we don't have the capital and the ability to build a lot of different cars, like say Hyundai or Kia, where Hyundai and Kia are essentially killing as an EV brand, in addition to their PHEVs and their gas cars. Lotus is like, yeah, we make like one car. We make three cars. So you want them to stay, and again, it's I think everyone follows California eventually. And I think I mentioned earlier, we're at 20% EV sales of new car sales are EVs. That's crazy, like thinking about that. So it's it's still gonna be a little while.
Norway's
it's
like
not a sprint.
95% now.
Yeah, Norway is killing it. And every time someone's like, you can't drive EVs in the cold, I'm like, you should call Norway up real quick.
Have a
They
chat with them.
they've seemed to figure it out. I did a whole video where I just talk about Norway, and I had to ask Norway for permission to use video. And they're like, yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, you have to email Norway to ask them to use video of that, because they had a lot of cool videos that I wanted to use on their site, and you just have to email Norway. Norway was cool with it, as long as I just said Norway tourism or something. But yeah, and these companies, they're not building a lot of cars. It's like Bugatti, like you know if it takes 30 years for Bugatti to go all electric, that's fine, because they sell like what 100 cars a year or something,
Yeah,
and those people drive those cars like 10 miles a year. These are all they're like pieces of art. They're just bought and sold and traded.
Yeah, I mean, since Volkswagen relaunched Bugatti, they've sold, I think, 900 cars, because they did 450 of the Veyron, 450 of the Chiron, and then they're just starting to do their next generation car. And that's been like almost 20 years to build fewer than 1,000 cars.
Yeah, so these sort of small niche, especially high end or high end brands or performance brands, or in the case of Lotus, just sort of like a super niche like performance brand. I'm not really that concerned. I mean, I'm more concerned about like Ford's flip-flopping than I am about Lotus's flip-flopping.
All right, well, let's stick with EREVs. I had just before the LA Auto Show earlier this week, Stellantis had a call with Carlos Tavares, and I forget who the other gentleman was. He's an American who's in charge of the STLA Frame platform. They talked about the STLA Frame, which is the platform for the new Ram Rev and Ram Charger, and they confirmed, to no one's surprise, that they would not be launching, but the Rev would not be launching by the end of this year, which is what they had announced a year ago. And instead, it'll be coming sometime in the first half of 2025. So the Rev is the battery electric version. The Ram Charger is the extended range version. And from what I'm hearing, interest in the extended range, it's likely that the EREV is actually probably going to sell in much higher volumes than the Rev. And that one, it's going to have a smaller battery, a mere 92 kilowatt hours for the Ram Charger, which is supposed to give it over 140 miles of electric range. And then with the 3.6 liter Pentastar driving a generator, that is supposed to give it a total of about 690 miles of range. So more than enough to bust anybody's bladder. And,
Blotter buster. That's how they sell it. That seems like a very Stellantis thing. I went over for their little when they were talking about the Charger, and they was just like, "We didn't do this. We did this to save the world. To save the world from boring EVs." Like, oh Jesus! And I just turned around and walked away because I cannot with they're sort of like, we're bad, we're cool. It's like your dad. It's like a divorce. It's very much like divorced dad vibes with a nude leather jacket. You're just like, oh God. guys, settle down.
well, I think what, even disregarding all of that nonsense marketing stuff, the Ram Charger actually, the EREV actually should be pretty interesting because one the big complaint about electric trucks so far has been that they can't tow very far.
No, the EREV is awesome. I
Yeah.
love the idea of the EREV because I think I think again for like 90% of the time when people if they plug them in,
Yeah.
which of course we still have no data from anyone that anyone's plugging in these plug-in hybrids. If you plug it in, you're just driving around like who's driving 142 miles a day? Like no one.
Yeah.
Like on a regular day, unless you have the world's worst commute, and in that case, why are you driving a truck?
Yeah, change your car, buddy.
These people are going to be driving this EV truck. Essentially, it's essentially an EV truck 90% of the time. And then when they want to go to the lake or the river or the mountains or
if you want to tow your
desert,
snowmobiles up to the Upper Peninsula, you just unplug it, drive, and and just keep going. I'm talking to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and on any given weekend, year round, you're going to see people either towing their boats, their jet skis, or their snowmobiles up north. And to get to the UP, that's about a 250-mile drive. And with a trailer hooked up on the back there, you have no problem at all with the Ram Charger.
Yeah, you're gonna, and then you'll also get that nice EV torque.
Yeah.
And well, yeah, it's series. Yeah, it's a series. So yeah, you're still gonna get that sweet EV torque.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same power as the Rev. It's got the same motors. It's like 615 horsepower and 650 foot-pounds of torque. So it'll have the same performance, and because the battery is so much smaller, then like the standard range version of the Rev is going to be 160-ish kilowatt hours, and then 229, 228 for the extended range. So that's probably going to be somewhere close to 1,000 pounds lighter for the Ram Charger versus the standard range version. And even when you add in the range extender, add in the engine and the fuel tank, that's still probably only going to be about 300 or 400 pounds. So it's still going to be probably a good somewhere between 500 and 700 pounds lighter. And I've done some math on this. It should cost probably about $5,000 less to build than the standard range version of the electric one. So I'm going to be really curious to see how they price this. Will they actually make it cheaper than the electric version? Because if they do, there's almost no reason to buy the Rev.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the electric truck thing is still.
It's hard to sell. I mean that whole market wants big truck, vroom vroom. That's my selling point for trucks. It's yes, the F-150 Lightning is essentially the best truck for 90% of F-150 owners, but those people don't buy trucks because they care about the environment or anything. They're just like, I got a big truck, vroom vroom. That's why you bought the truck. You want a big truck, vroom vroom. The end.
I like your truck noise.
Yeah, big truck, vroom vroom. That's it. That's why you bought the big truck. It's and so again, I think the F-150 Lightning is a absolutely wonderful vehicle. It's great. But that is not what that market wants right now.
Yeah.
And kudos to Ford for building it, but I don't think it was. It was, yeah.
Well,
vroom vroom.
Yeah, I just checked the Ram Charger and the Rev, both 663 horsepower, 615 foot-pounds of torque, 0 to 60 in about 4.4 seconds. So quick enough.
Quick enough. You don't. That's a whole other. That's my whole other soapbox. Like, stop making trucks go fast.
Yeah.
or quick. Stop making trucks that
Well,
go quick. There's no reason for that. What are you doing?
Yeah, and the Ram Charger will have 14,000 pound towing capability. So
Oh, cool. There you go.
So you'll be able to haul whatever you want.
You can haul your band stuff and your stand-up paddleboard and cookies
and a lot.
All three. The whole Wheel Bearings podcast crew is very excited about the Ram Charger. 14,000 pounds of cookies.
I mean, imagine how many cookies you could put in that.
That's a lot. I don't know. How much does an average cookie weigh? Like 3 ounces?
It depends on the cookie. I mean, there's a variety of cookies. Don't get me started.
7 grams? How many?
Well,
how much?
Speaking of electric trucks, Nicole, before the LA show, you got to go out somewhere and drive the GMC Sierra EV. What'd you think?
Yes, I thought it's great. I mean, the thing is, if you're just driving an electric truck and you don't need you're not worried about all the trucky things that are tough on an EV on electric batteries. Trucks are great, EVs are great, but you're still, it's like, if you're gonna like tow and haul a lot of stuff and you have to worry about how much that range dies. Kind of just had this conversation. It's not a great deal, but I like these. One of my favorite things is I love the tailgate options on this one. Everyone does their tailgate their way. 18 different versions of a tailgate. I love how this one like origami folds into like 5 different things or something. You can use it as a step, you can use it as a table, you can use it as a load stop, you can fold it down. Like there's a million different ways you can. I love how the tailgate on the GMC Sierra is. In terms of driving it, it's starting off. This is only a trick. So they're starting off with just the Denali, which is what they've had. There's an AT4 and an Elevation, but they're not coming till sometime next year, and they will be, I believe, 26 model years, where this is the 2025, according to what GMC informed me. So you're stuck, and I say stuck with Denali, not because Denali is bad, but because it's expensive. It's not cheap. Now, the pricing has gone up and down on this. It has changed around. They had the Denali Edition 1, and it was originally $106,000 for that. And then it got delayed, and when they finally released it, it was $97,500. Well, now this year it comes down a little bit more, but it's because they have 2 different batteries. If you're going for the max range, it's 98.4. If you're going for what they're calling the extended range, it's 89.9. So you can get into it for as little as $90,000. And I can't believe that I said as little in front of $90,000, right? So that is the drawback to this. You don't have anything but the top trim, and Denali is the fanciest of GMC trims. That said, it does look beautiful inside. It has all the Denali plussing that you want. It has these beautiful seats that have a quilted design on them and the contrast stitching. There is plenty of legroom and headroom in here. It has a premium look and feel. It has a giant touchscreen. It's like a 16.8 inch vertically mounted touchscreen that is great. I actually like the vertical touchscreens better than because they go back and forth.
I was just going to ask you about that. Sometimes they're landscape.
Yeah, so they go back and forth. Yeah, the landscape or this way. I kind of like the vertical because I feel like the landscape it just takes up so much left, right. It makes it, I don't know. I just don't like how they look on the dashboard when they're big. If it's the giant, like I'm going to span your whole dashboard, like your infotainment cluster is going to, your digital instrument cluster with the infotainment screen sort of spanning it in one sort of long slim line. But when they're big like this, just like plunk, right on the dashboard. I don't like how they look. So I like that they mounted this vertically. I think the touch screen looks good. And there next to it, there is a separate 11-inch digital instrument cluster, and even get a 14-inch head-up display. So you have all the ways of displaying the information that you could conceivably want. So I like driving this. I also like, although it took me some time to get the hang of it, and I'm trying to find the exact name because now it's escaping me. They have the midgate. So the back, the multi-pro tailgate and midgate is what they call it. So the multi-pro tailgate is the fancy tailgate that folds down and does a step and all those things. But then they have the midgate that actually can sort of expands the bed. So what it is the glass, like that's behind the second row, the glass comes out and sort of stows into a little holder, and the seats fold flat. And suddenly now your bed is expanded to the back of your front seats. So you can put something longer in it. Now you lose your rear seat. People can't sit back there, but it's a neat idea. It's a little bit of one person can totally do it. It's not a 2-person job. It is easier for sure, though, when you have 2 people, especially that it's faster. And the thing is, the glass, you can manage that piece of glass by yourself, but it's still just a little bit heavy. So, as you're trying to lift it by yourself, you're thinking, please don't drop this. Please don't drop this. Please don't. You're a little nervous because you drop that, you've broken, this very expensive, I'm sure, piece of glass to replace. So because the standard bed length on this is just one length, it's 5 feet 11 inches. So it's not super long. If you use the multi-pro mid-gate, you just drop that center part and don't worry about having people in the back seat, 9 feet 1 inch. If you also then flip down the multi-pro tailgate and use the bump stop there, you end up with 10 feet 10 inches. So you can go, it actually is pretty flexible, which is kind of a neat aspect of it. Driving it is fine. I mean, there's various drive modes that you can do. There's a normal drive mode. You can also, there's not a sport drive mode, but in the my mode setting, you can set things individually to sport. So you can just push a sport button. They're going to make you work for it. And it's like, sport and they don't even all say sport. Like I forget what they all say, but it's like, you can peg them all to be sporty if you want to. It's very nice drive. It's very comfortable. We did some highway driving, and when they put us on this, the route they had was really twisty, turny roads, which is kind of unusual in a truck because it's not a Miata. Like they're not known for liking the twisties. Still, this handled pretty well. It was easy to handle. It did not, you didn't get that queasiness, like as a passenger thinking, oh, I really want to get out of this car. So it was nice to drive. This also has a max power mode that has 760 horsepower, and it's so in a 0 to 60 time of 4.5 seconds. It moves and it does the crab walk like the Hummer EV, which you guys have all done crab walk, right? You've all experienced it in something. I still can't figure out the why of it. Like how often, like
they show you in the ad, it's like that one instance in your entire life where like you've pulled into something. You're like, oh no, I can't turn left and then right. I have to crab walk across. And every time I'm like, it has all-wheel steering. You could just turn left and then right. That's the whole point of the all-wheel steering. It's really great.
Well,
the all-wheel steering is outstanding.
And when they launched the Silverado, RST, it has the same four-wheel steering system on it, but initially they did not have the crab walk capability built in there. And recently they pushed out a software update that enables crab walk because it's just software controlled.
So
right?
were people asking for it? They're like,
no, does it maybe it's one of those things that just sounds, I mean, because it does, like my truck crab walks. What's your truck do? Like it sounds kind of cool. And it is sort of a neat party trick. And they even had us do this little handling course, which actually really showed it off. We were just competing against each other, and they had cones set up, and you had to get back and forth, but you had to use crab walk to do it, to drive instead of, just turning the wheel. You had to have a little crab walk mode engaged. And if you hit cones, you lost points and all this. And it was fun. But I thought I could have done it just driving the truck.
Just say, can I try it without crab walk and see what it says?
Without crab walk?
Oh no.
You can do it a lot faster without crab walk.
Well, and the thing is, I can't lose the sensation for me. And I don't know if this is just because I have driven all my life in New England winters, but when you're in a car and you're in the snow and you turn the wheel and you slide, so you're not really turning right. You're kind of like, oh, wait, no, not really going.
Or
it feels like
a crown road that's icy, and you feel yourself starting to slide sideways towards the ditch.
Yeah, right? That's what crab walk feels like.
Like you're turning the wheel one way, and you're like, the car isn't really going the way. It's kind of, sort of going that way, but not at the angle I'm putting it. I can't lose that sensation, so it makes me a little nervous. I'm like, am I crab walking, or am I going to slide into a tree? I cannot lose that sensation
when they first announced it on the Hummer. The scenario they talked about then was, if you're off-roading, you're on a trail and, you need to, you can't really go straight. You can't do a normal turn. You just want to kind of get around some obstacle, and you can use the crab walk to kind of go sideways a little bit and then continue, which in theory is great, except the Hummer and also the Sierra are both so enormous that they are not vehicles that you ever actually, and they're so heavy that they're not vehicles you would ever actually want to take off road.
That's the thing. So, I mean, is it useful? Yes. Is it useful very often? No, but you got it. Like Robbie said, every time you need it, it's there. So
one day you're going to have it. You're going to be like, oh.
And when I grow up, I'll really be like, you guys, I found it. This is the moment where I need to use a crab walk. Watch. But so I
But
do
then
like
you
driving
have to
it. I mean,
remember how to set it up. That's the thing. You're like, wait, how do I turn
Yeah.
crab walk on again?
it's literally yeah, it is a button, but I can imagine that would be me. I desperately need the crab walk, be pressed for time, and think, crud, where's that
Going
button?
through the interface trying to find. I know that was
One
yeah.
button, but I do like it. And in terms of the GM products, you have the Silverado EV, you have the Sierra EV, and you have the Hummer EV. So you've got sort of three different truck options. The Silverados at the bottom, the Hummers at the top, and the GMC is sort of you're just right. Like if I was picking between the three, I would get the GMC because the Silverado feels. I mean, I just don't think it's as nice of a truck inside. I just don't think it presents as well. You get the GMC experience with this, so it's a little bit more upscale. The material is a little more refined. It's a little more attractive, a little more premium, and the Hummer is
It's a
too
Hummer.
big, and it's a
The
Hummer.
Hummer's the
I
Hummer.
don't. If you
The
want it like
Hummer's the
more power
Hummer.
to you, but it's a Hummer. Like the Hummer's the Hummer. So I feel like of the three, this is kind of the one to get. It's just that price point is high. So when the other two come out, the AT4 and the Elevation, that price point situation might get a little bit easier, I would think, but they haven't given anything other than they're coming. Period.
Yeah.
That's it. So if you really want this, but you want a little more affordable trim level, just hold your horses. Otherwise, I do like it. And I do like that they brought it down from that initial. Think about that initial price. The only way you could get this truck, it was $106,700, not including the almost $2,000 destination fee. Now they've dropped it so you can get into one for $89,900 plus a $2,000 destination
Except
fee.
I think
So
they've
it's a
actually
single,
increased the destination to
not by much because it was 1995
at
before,
least.
and now it's 2095, $100
Yeah.
bucks. It
Well,
just crosses from officially being in the 1000s to being in the 2000s.
did
Well, they're
did
very
you get a
heavy.
chance to do? Did you get a chance to do any acceleration runs with the max power mode?
I played around with it a little bit, and it does give you that like it's cool, but again, it's a little bit like
Why do
the
we need
sort
that
of
with this much power in a truck?
Come here.
yeah, it's like it was funny. So I almost kind of forgot about it. And the only reason I almost kind of forgot about it was because it just drives so well to begin with. You're not driving thinking, wow, it would be cool if this had a little more power. Wait, max power mode. You're like, well, this is pretty good. Oh, shoot, I should try max power mode. Like it's good enough without that. You don't need to.
Well, the reason I asked is when we drove the Silverado last spring, they took us to ACM and we did acceleration runs with the wide open Watts, I think is what Chevy calls it. And
Yeah.
with when we did that, the truck, seemed it was kind of it was getting some. I don't know if it was torque steer or what. It was kind of wandering as it was accelerating, wandering side to side, and it didn't feel very controlled.
Yeah, we didn't have the opportunity to try it to that degree because we didn't have like a closed course situation, but I've tried it in the Hummer in that scenario and found exactly the same thing.
Okay.
Exactly what you're describing. So I would imagine you put this closed course, tried the same thing, you're going to have a similar experience. But that again is a little bit of a party trick. That's right up there with crab walk. You don't really need to use that. You want to play around and surprise your buddies. I mean, I remember the journalist with me when we did the Hummer. He just had his coffee in his hand with the lid on it and the tiny little hole where you drink. It actually shot out of the coffee cup onto a shirt. And the best thing is we had video going. And you can see in the video, whee! I'm like, so it was fun to like mess with your buddies. I don't know that I want to do it all the time.
All right. Any other last thoughts on the Sierra for now?
No, I liked it.
Okay.
I like a thumbs up. I like the Sierra, and of the GM lineup of EVs, that would be of EV trucks. That would be the one I would get.
Okay. Let's shift to the LA Auto Show.
Okay.
And it was actually surprising amount of stuff announced in and around LA. And you had a chance to chat with the new head of Jeep, and I had a chance to talk with Antonio Filosa, who's the chief operating officer for Stellantis North America. Tell us about your conversation with Mr. Broderdorf.
So I talked to Bob Broderdorf, who was wonderful. He's new to Jeep, but he is not at all new to Stellantis or Chrysler or, as he said it, whatever you want to call us. He's been there for 26 years. He's worked for every brand at the company except for Jeep. So new to Jeep, not new to the company or how the company works, which I think is at least a thing and a point in his favor as far as taking over Jeep, because we've had a lot of switching at the helm in the last year. people are so passionate about their Jeeps. And even the story, I published a story on CarBuzz, and people are having an absolute riotous, angry fight in the comments because everybody wants it to be something that they don't feel like it is right now. And I think that the thing that was interesting in talking to him is that they're not unaware of the problems that Jeep is having. That doesn't make the problems go away, but they're aware of it. They're aware that they're missing the mark. When he was saying that they were expensive, he's like, we're overpriced. We're too expensive. And we're trying to bring prices back down. Now we have the work of telling people, no, we're bringing prices back down. Because they are. They've been lowering prices and not increasing and not reducing content. Like the Wagoneer is now under 60 grand. You can get into a Wagoneer, again, not super cheap, but it's under $60,000. It's coming down. It's getting to be a more affordable, not like this uber luxury car price point. So that was, that's something that they're trying to work on. He also talked about the fact that they're offering a variety of powertrains. They're going to have gas. They're going to have electric with the Wagoneer S. They're going to have hybrids. They're not going all in on just going electric. They know that everybody wants a little bit of everything. And even talked about the fact that the lineup, it's sort of, there's the hardcore enthusiast, and then there's the guy who wants the hardcore enthusiast vehicle maybe, but may never actually take that thing off road. And they're not going to forget their core off-roader, like the Wrangler guy, while also offering stuff for the not core off-roader. And in terms of that, Cherokee, which they discontinued, and I think everyone's kind of sad about that. And it's a hole in the lineup, and he sees the hole in the lineup, knows there's a hole in the lineup, and has said, yeah, we're aware, we're working on it. So I think and even I talked to him a good bit about the Wagoneer S, and even that, them holding that and saying we want it to be perfect. They're working on things to make it better. They're like, they feel like they're close. It's like, it's not like the vehicle's a mess. We're just fine tuning it to make it absolutely perfect. They want to make it as good as they possibly can for customers. They don't want to launch something that's like halfway there. So I think they're doing the right thing, but it's going to take time for people to see it. I felt good talking to him because I like Jeeps, right? And I don't want to see the brand struggling, and it's struggling. So I think to hear him and see what he's saying and hear his enthusiasm for Jeep and his understanding of the company was really reassuring. And that it's like, it's not going to change overnight. We're not going to fix every problem that Jeep has overnight, but we see things and we're fixing them.
Yeah, I didn't go to LA, but I did have a chance to have a short conversation with Antonio Filosa, who had Broderdorf's job up until a couple of months ago. And when they did their latest management shuffle, Filosa went from running Jeep North America to being the global boss of Jeep and also the COO of Stellantis North America. And we talked about Jeep. We talked about the other brands, about Chrysler and Dodge and Alfa Romeo and Fiat, and the dealers and the excess inventory they had. And one of the things he mentioned, he did confirm that, a Cherokee replacement is coming. It probably won't be called Cherokee, but something in that class is coming. And he said that, it's going to be available with a hybrid powertrain. And it's an all new hybrid system. It's not based on the system that is in the Pacifica plug-in hybrid, but it's an all new system. And so that's something new. And, you also mentioned, that the Wagoneer is getting the EREV powertrain from the Ram Charger. So that's, so there's going to be at least 2 vehicles that have that EREV system in there. So I'm going to drop the conversation I had with Antonio Filosa in here, and we will be right back.
So I was at the event this past spring where you were there. You talked about Jeep, and we saw the Wagoneer S and the Recon in person for the first time before they were shown, I think, in New York. So we heard about what you were doing with Jeep, but now in your new role as COO for North America, I'd like to hear your thoughts about kind of where you see the various Stellantis brands, and what are your plans? What needs to happen with Stellantis going forward?
Okay. Oh, thank you for this question, Sam. So I'll try to be direct to the point. Well, on the brands, actually, I have a lot of good things to say because all of them are coming into next year strong as brand awareness, right? US consumer are very familiar with the product, so familiarity is good. And also, like every other OEM, we had issues on quality, but they are all in the path to be solved and improving month by month. So I must say that the brand health for all the brands is good, and also the new products that are coming to the market and the new powertrain options that are coming to the market through those products, I believe are very represent a very good fit to the market, right? The priorities now are multiple. The first, which is very contingent to this final part of the year, is to reduce the dealer inventory, right? One of the things that happened in the first, second, and third quarter of this year was an increase over, let's say, a big increase in dealer inventory, right? I believe that in July we were counting 450,000 units, more or less, as dealer inventory. We just crossed the line of 330. That has been the line that in our profit warning we communicated as final year objective. And that was basically driven by a reduction of 22%, almost 25% of the dealer inventory itself. So this is the first priority, still stay the first priority, to properly manage what we call the car flow, right? And to manage the dealer inventory at a level that is around 330,000, or if possible, even lower, right? So this is the first priority. In parallel to that, and this is one of the signs that we are providing, our priority is also to regain a health, trust, and relationship with our dealer body, right? We recognize that our dealers are our best partners when we talk on commercial activities. We also recognize that the dialogue has been a little bit ups and down in the latest periods, and we want to gain back this trust, as they want the same, obviously, and we want to start a line, draw a line to restart again as real commercial partners, right? And this is the inventory, the first priority, right? Then we have to set up the basis for next year, right? And next year is a very important and disruptive year in the industry because obviously we need to gain market shares and we need to launch many new products. And obviously the two things goes together, because as long as you launch new products, then you increase your options to gain market share. So let's take a look at the market share. So market share actually is growing already, right? Without having the new product, is already growing. So from July up to now, our market share has been up more than 1 point, right? I believe we are in the high 6.9, 6.8 in July, and we are close at both September and October at 8%, right? And this is before the new products. And then we will have the new products, right? Some of those are electrics, as we will present here in LA Auto Show. Some others are purely multi-energy, right? And this is probably one of the strengths that we are providing to the market. So we are launching the Jeep Wagoneer S. We are launching the Dodge Challenger Daytona. Those are pure electrics. Then soon after comes Jeep Recon, that is electric as well. Then it comes the Jeep Cherokee replacement, right? The name is not Cherokee, not yet at least, but that will be the replacement. And this is HEV, so a big innovation for us. It will come another PHEV product, right? And then we will keep selling our ICE. So market share already is increasing. Dealer inventory is going positively and severely down, right? Dramatically down. And that is helping to regain the trust of the dealer network that obviously will be even more pushed up because of the new products. And again, our new products, they represent our multi-energy offensive because they cover basically all powertrain, right? We have IC, we have hybrids, we have plug-in hybrids, and we have also battery electric vehicles. So really, we are going in direction to offer to our consumer many, many different options in the spirit that we call freedom to choice. That is the spirit of Jeep, but for next year will be applied to all the Stellantis bets.
With the challenges on the electrification front, and particularly, given some of the potential changes in the incentive programs at a federal level, are you looking at further scaling back or delaying some of the electrification programs over the next several years, and perhaps maybe delaying some of the investments in the battery plants, as an example? Or
What we are planning are two things. Number one, to extract all the market potential for our consumers and all the potential value for our shareholders out of our strategy of being multi-energy. This flexibility, I believe, really is a strength to Stellantis, right? So yes, we will launch EV. They are already ready, and at least 3 products of the new EV offensive will be launched next year. So we are there. But we'll launch also others motor propulsion options, right? As I said, we have new PHEV coming, we have an hybrid that is coming, and we have the IC, right? And that will be next year. If things change, then we have this flexibility to adapt ourselves, right? So we need to monitor what is happening, knowing that on the same platform we can put many options of powertrain, then we will adapt, right? But the strength that we are having in this moment is exactly that, the possibility to provide to the market on the same platform different options of powertrain.
The hybrid that you mentioned for the midsize, the Cherokee replacement, is that a new powertrain architecture, or is that something derived from what you have today on the Pacifica hybrid? Is it based on that system, or is it something entirely new?
This hybrid is new. Obviously, we have the option to develop an hybrid out of the plugins, but this specifically is new.
Okay.
Hey, Sam, we ask that you hold that till the press conference time,
Okay.
please.
Yeah, I'm not going to publish anything right now because right after this call, I have a couple of other ones. So, with right now, obviously, there's a couple of North American brands, Dodge and Chrysler. Dodge has the Charger coming shortly. I'm looking forward to driving that in a couple of weeks. But
You will do a lot.
yeah, I mean, those two brands in particular are somewhat starved for product right now. Is Stellantis going to have the resources to really build up those brands again, to make them viable and sustainable going forward?
Yeah. So if the question is around, will those brands receive new products? Because obviously, to rebuild or to nurture a brand, you need more, right? You need products, you need communication, you need to develop a specific network, etc. But if the question is exactly specifically on new products for those brands, the answer is yes. So Dodge already will have now, as you already mentioned, right, the beautiful Daytona, right? And on top of the same platform, we will develop new Dodge, and because also we will receive new products. Actually, we are already working on those new products for Chrysler and for Dodge as well. So it's not a thing that we are planning for the future. We are already in the execution phase, and this is happening right now.
What about the European brands, particularly Fiat? So far the 500e, fun little car to drive, but hasn't had a whole lot of sales success. Alfa Romeo, is not particularly strong, even though again great products. What happens with those brands?
So Fiat this auto show is presenting one of the I would say most beautiful version of 500e 500e, right, which is the Giorgio Armani version that has been presented yesterday here in LA and would be presented to the big public at this Los Angeles Auto Show. Obviously, we are talking on not volume products for the United States market, right? We're talking on niche products that can work a lot in specific metro area, right? And can find their portion of the market in those, right? Same thing for Alfa Romeo. When we look at those two Italian brands, we cannot envision volumes as we should envision for Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, and Jeep, right? In this market, those brands comes to represent Italian design, to represent the way that in Italy we design and we industrialize our cars, right? And to provide the market solution to those consumers, specifically in metro area, that are looking for that. So we cannot measure the success of Fiat in United States or Alfa Romeo in United States as we do for those brands in Italy, for instance. It's the same thing reverse, right? We cannot measure the success of Dodge in Spain or in Italy as we do here in United States. Probably the only brand that has a global reach, and at least in 3 regions in the world, it has been sold in a large volume is Jeep, right? Jeep has 70% of the sales here in North America, Canada, the United States, and Mexico, 15% in South America, 15% in Europe. So it is pretty spread with nice sales in the 3 continents. The others are a little bit more into specific geography, right? So when you look at them, depending on the country, on the market, you need to set up different KPIs to measure their success, which is in case of Fiat and Alfa Romeo, here in US, not volumes, and the same thing for Dodge in Italy, right?
Okay. One last question before I let you go. Around affordability at the Investor Day earlier this year. I think Mr. Tavares talked about bringing a $25,000 Jeep EV to the North American market. Is that still in the plan? Getting more affordable vehicles into the lineup, and perhaps other affordable electric vehicles besides that one that was mentioned.
Yep. On affordability overall, we are actually working a lot. We have been working a lot this year and with a lot of emphasis and energy. Probably we have not been very productive and effective in communicating that to the market. But just to give you a couple of examples, today Jeep Wrangler is the most affordable in class, right? In its segment. Jeep Grand Cherokee has 3 trims below $40K US. The Wagoneer is the most affordable large UV in America, under 60,000 grands. And Compass has 2 trims below $30K US. So talking Jeep only, I can give similar example for other brands. Actually, we have done a lot repositioning our models in a very affordable part of the segments, right? And looking forward, this will stay as let's say affordability strategy. And for new product, yes, we are working on what you call the small or compact SUV that also electric can be sold at a very competitive price, for instance, $25,000. So yes, this is a strategy, as it has been communicated by Mr. Tavares, but it's also what is happening right now with the products that we have, right? Probably we should engage more the press to make clear this point. But if you compare and you shop around, you compare our MSRPs transversally in the segment, you will see what I just said to you. The affordable Jeep Wrangler is there, Wagoneer is there, Compass is there, Grand Cherokee is there. Those are 60% of all the volumes that we do with all the brands in Stellantis North America.
All right. Well,
Hey, Sam.
Yeah.
Sorry about start with the technology.
Yeah. No worries, Rick. I appreciate you taking the time, and hopefully we'll get a chance to catch up in person again sometime in the not too distant future. And have a great show.
Thank you very much.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, that was my conversation with Antonio Filosa about the future of Stellantis, or at least some of the future of Stellantis, and it's going to be interesting to watch. They're going to have to launch a bunch of new products over the next 2, 3, 4 years because they've got a lot of aging stuff. They've got a lot of stuff that they've dropped. The Chrysler brand. If they want to keep that around, they need something besides just a Pacifica.
Okay, was it the Voyager as the rental car version?
Yeah.
Voyager, yeah.
And we'll see how Dodge does. I mean, they're going to be driving the Charger in a couple of weeks, the Charger Daytona, and so we'll see if that can do for.
It's going to save America from boring EVs because I think they forgot the Hyundai Ioniq 5N exists.
Yeah.
And the Taycan and the Lucid and the I'll just keep going for.
Yeah, we'll see.
They're boring, no excitement whatsoever.
So boring. It's just that the muscle cars make so much sense as EVs, to be honest.
Yeah,
like
they
big,
really
heavy, straight, fast. That's it. That's what.
And Dodge.
Your brain doesn't want to do that. You think it's like, I want my powerful gas engine. No, you don't. You want an EV. Just
they want the noise and the vibration too, and at least the noise part of it, Dodge has figured out with the Fratsonic exhaust system.
Fratsonic, I love that name. I can't.
We'll
stupid, amazing that name.
We'll see. See if people go for it or not. It'll be interesting. All right. Other stuff shown in LA. I think you. Since you were hosted by Genesis, Nicole, let's start with them.
So Genesis unveiled, it's not an all new, it's the redesigned GV70 and electrified GV70 SUVs. So the design has changed a little bit. It's not. It's a very small change, you guys, and but and I think that, but I like what they did, but it's not like I look at it and go, wow, it's a whole new. It's just updated. Redesigns happen. They keep things a little updated. They change it a little bit. They make it a little bit better. They change this. The headlamps have a different lens, and the front end is, they say the skid plate design is different. The air intakes are a little bit different. They have new wheel options, which honestly, Genesis has the coolest wheels. Like some of the wheels on their vehicles are just like amazing. I love the wheels. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. The interiors are still that beautiful interior. They have a 27-inch OLED display. So with the instrument cluster and the infotainment system in one long piece, it looks good. I don't think it's a giant change for Genesis, but it updates things a little bit. So, and I like how it looks, but I liked how it looked to begin with. I'm a real big fan of Genesis design. I think there's some of the most striking vehicles out there, and still, without fail, every time I have a Genesis in my driveway, my neighbors ask me about that one. They don't ask a lot of it. They ask like, what is that one? But still their biggest problem is nobody knows what a Genesis is. They all think of it, if they do it all, as being a Hyundai. It's like, no, it's not the Hyundai Genesis. It's the Genesis GV70. Like they're stuck on that. It was a sedan from the Hyundai lineup. So I think that holds them back from a lot of recognition in the US and holds them back from sales, but they're making up for that. They're trying to raise their profile. I think they've just opened they said their 60th standalone retail facilities. So they're pulling away to sort of differentiate themselves from Hyundai. It's an interesting time. It's an interesting time for the brand. And I think they've got great products. They keep improving them. They keep tweaking them, make them just a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. I think they just need to get that word of mouth out there that they exist. They just need to raise their profile. And that's, opening more dealerships or retail facilities, as they like to call them. That'll do it, and as people start to know and start to share the word that they're really great vehicles, I think people will know. And I had the chance to talk to Claudia Marquez about where Genesis was going. And she's really excited about it. She talked about her journey there and working there, and the dedication of the people there, and how they're, just continuing to build the best product that they can. and to build a product that's unique in styling, which it really is. They do have some unique styling, and it's a premium product, and that as they just increase awareness, that the customers will come.
With the updates to the electric version, is it getting the NACS port, the J3400 charge port?
It is. It's going to have the NACS port is going to be the standard. I'll read you exactly how they say it. A North American charging standard charge port and a combined charging system enabling seamless access to a nationwide network of more than 36,000 places to charge, basically. So you're going to have the NACS port and you're going to have the CCS. So depending on, it's not like you're going to have to pick. You're going to be able to use whatever you want. And I believe they're rolling that out on everything as they're going forward. That's going to be, they're the first ones to get it together to do it, which is a big deal for an EV because that gives you access to Tesla chargers. Although I don't know, Sam, and you might know more about this, that the access to the Tesla chargers is not quite as like go to anyone you want as it sort of seems.
It only works with the version 3 chargers and superchargers and above. So there's still a lot. That's why, when you hear about, because Tesla's got like something like 28,000 superchargers now. But about 17,000 of those, somewhere between 17 and 18,000 are version 3, or in some cases, they have the version 4 pedestals, but there's still version 3 hardware behind the scenes. Only those will work. The version 2, the older superchargers. So like here, in Ann Arbor, in my area, in Ypsilanti, Ann Arbor area, there's 2 supercharger stations. The one closer to me is version 3 chargers. The one on the other side of Ann Arbor is version 2. Those don't work with anything but Teslas. The version 3 chargers will work with other vehicles.
Which is, first you're like, oh man, well, that's terrible. But you're still getting access to the superchargers. You're still increasing your options for charging your vehicle. And the reliability of the Tesla network is huge. That's a big benefit to until now just buying only Tesla. So, yes, it's not opening up everything, but it's opening up a lot. So it is going to make charging your vehicle easier. And I still say people get weirded out by range, and you need to calm down because most of us are not driving 400 miles every day. So most of us are going to be just fine charging at home. And, I think especially for Genesis customers, they had said most of their customers actually have garages or someplace to charge. So they're not as often going to be people who don't have access to a place at their home where they can charge their vehicle. So, but still, it's great. It's a great option. It does increase the, the flexibility of charging in more places and not having to worry about finding a working charger.
Yeah. I just looked, there's actually almost 31,000 superchargers now, but again, out of those, about 17,500 are version 3 or 4. So the version 2 chargers, so a little less than half of what's currently out there, about 40% of them will not work with anything but a Tesla.
So if you got 60% they do work with, right? So it's you got to look at the plus side of it a little bit.
The Tesla app, you can plug in the car you have, and it'll tell you, like if you say, oh, I have this car, and either you have an adapter or if you have a NACS port, and it'll say, oh, okay, you can use these chargers.
Right.
And,
so you're not going to be shocked. You're going to drive up, and it's like, oh, it told me to go here. I can't use it. No.
Yeah. If it tells you not to go there, because I tried that with the when I had the Mach-E.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Where I was like, he's like, you can't go here. I'm like, I'm going to try it anyway, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
But I talked to Hyundai a few weeks ago about NACS on the Ioniq 5, and of course now on the Ioniq 9, and they said that they're working on that sort of being part of being able to pull in that information from the Tesla network into their infotainment screen or entertainment system. Like right now, if me and my Ioniq 5, if I drive down the state, it'll do route chart. It'll tell me where to stop, and it'll tell me how many chargers are available at this station as I'm getting closer to it. And so, they're hoping to have that early next year, or they're working on it. I think that's the goal is early next year. So who knows? Because you still have to deal with a whole other network that can be that was a little bit decimated a few months ago.
To say the least.
So I think there's a lot of really, really cool stuff. I like the fact that the Genesis still has the charger up front. That was like at the event, I was like, yeah.
Well,
as I'm having to back vehicle I have right now into my driveway to be able to charge. I'm like, I hate having to back in all the time. It's driving me nuts.
We had the Kona EV, and you could charge it up front, and it was great. And now we have the Ioniq 5, and now we got to back it in. We're just like, boo.
Well, speaking of backing in, on the Ioniq 5, even though the 2025 Ioniq 5, which is being built in Georgia, they switched to a NACS port on there, to a J3400 port, but they kept it in the same place on the passenger side rear corner. For 26 or for 2025, the refresh to the Kia EV6 is also coming out because they're also building those in Savannah. And that one, they actually moved the port to the opposite corner. So it's now on the left rear corner, just like Tesla's.
Okay.
And so it's got the J3400 port on the left rear corner. So now you can avoid the problem that you have with most non-Tesla vehicles if you're using a supercharger, which is that the cords on superchargers are very short, and they're designed for Teslas, which all have the port in the same place. And for most other non-Tesla vehicles, you end up having to park in the wrong spot. So, like if you have an F-150 Lightning or a Mach-E, you, instead of parking in front of the charger you're going to use, you have to park in the next slot over, because that's the only way, because the port is on the left front corner, or left front fender. And so that's the only way that the cord will actually reach, because the cords are too short.
And you have to get super, super close to the
the
little bollards.
And so now you're using up an extra space that could be used by somebody, and so it's kind of a pain in the neck. But so at least Kia has made the switch over to the other side, which I was kind of surprised at.
Yeah, I mean Tesla's needs to just make their cords longer.
Well, I understand that
especially if they want NEVI money.
Yeah.
If you want the money for having, you need to make sure it works with everything.
Yeah. Well, my understanding is that the cables on the version 4 dispensers are longer. The version 3 ones are short, and version 2 and 3 are short, but the version 4 have longer cables on them, so it shouldn't be as much of a problem. But,
right, I've seen
but
that.
There's only a handful of those in existence anywhere. So
yeah, that's kind of a bummer too.
All
right, well let's stick with Hyundai Motor Group, and there was at least one actual all new vehicle. That was
for real.
Yeah, well, it depends. If you consider it to be a derivative of the Kia EV9, not quite so all new, but all new model.
New enough.
Yeah. So
it's new to you.
So yeah. So tell us about the Ioniq 9.
So the Ioniq 9. Now we have a 3-row electric SUV from Hyundai, and did they go all out for this reveal? It was this crazy place called the Cheats Goldstein House in like the Hollywood Mansions.
It was very
$70
weird.
$70 million house.
They dropped me off so early.
Yeah, it was bizarre, and it was cool. So it's the big global launch of it. It looks great. It's gonna, I want to get really excited about it, and it's gonna be. But I'm curious because the EV9 was so special, I guess, maybe when it came out. And I'm wondering if this can capture the same thing. Like now we have, it's not like there's not a lot of 3-row options for EVs. We've got options now. You were there, Robbie. What did you think?
I think, I think there's good. Yeah. First of all, it looks like a Volvo wagon.
It does,
especially from the back.
Yeah. So I I'm at the event, the unveiling. I'm like, oh, it's a Volvo wagon, and that's a good thing, to be honest. To be absolutely,
it
just
really does. Now that you've said that, there's this picture on it totally does. I didn't see that until you said it.
It looks like a Volvo like a large Volvo wagon. I think the only weird thing is the weird little eyebrows over the fender over the wheels, and I was like, I don't know if those will survive a refresh, because I think
they're a little odd.
It's like the one thing where you're just like, what?
It looks like you should be able to push on. It looks like a feature that should be inside of a car, and you push on it, it should go boop.
It shoots out or something. Yeah.
It's like, no, it's just for visual. And you're like, is it? Okay. It doesn't look bad. It's just,
it's
surprising. It looks like it should do something.
Well, the Kia, remember the
yeah,
Kia I don't think you were here, Nicole, when we talked about the Kia Tasman, their pickup truck that they're launching overseas.
Yeah, I'm
It
familiar with it.
it's
Yeah.
got these big wheel arches, and it actually has little storage boxes in the top part of the wheel arch.
Oh, that would be cool if it did
yeah,
that. If it,
Yeah.
if it wanted to be,
yeah,
but it's not. It's
yeah.
just,
It's
it
not
just
doing that.
is a thing.
Yeah, it has a larger battery than the EV9. So
Yeah.
I was like, at the the rear wheel drive long range one should probably get maybe like 330, 340. I wrote it down in an article. I
They're
did some
saying
in my
like
head. They said everything is targeting above 300,
yeah,
like the
300
whole
plus
lineup.
is
So they're
saying.
not
So
offering a smaller battery version like they have on the Kia.
no, it's just the 110.3 kilowatt hour capacity battery
Yeah,
pack.
and you
Um,
get
you get the
rear
whole.
wheel or all wheel. You can pick that at least, whether you're on rear wheel drive or all wheel drive. So
Yeah, so I'm feeling the was it the EV9 does 309 with the 80 something hour or battery pack. So yeah, it's like a long range rear wheel drive version is probably going to get like some crazy, maybe up to 340, just based on the fact that this, Kia and Hyundai are all about that efficiency with those vehicles. Yeah, the interior is nice. You're still getting that really nice, like Hyundai interior that feels like a more of a premium brand, and the little I don't know. I like the back end a lot. I still like the little pixel lights a lot.
I
Um,
love the pixel lights.
right?
I have an Ioniq 6 in my driveway this week that I'll talk about next week. And it has so many pixel lights on it. It looks fabulous. I love all the pixels. I love the pixeling design that they're doing on all these. I think it
Yeah,
looks great.
yeah. No, the pixel lights are great. I think it's gonna do well. I think the EV9 will probably continue like the way the Telluride overshadows the Palisade. Um, I think that's what's gonna happen, to be honest. I think the EV9 is a bit more. I think people are gonna like the design of the EV9 a little bit more. But that said, I mean, the Ioniq 9, I think is again those is the only thing is those weird little eyebrows.
Yeah, because it looks fantastic, and I even like the way the lights across the front and the hood sort of slopes. It makes what is essentially a very big vehicle look a little bit more nicely proportioned. It makes it look a little sportier. Overall, I think the design is great. The interior looks fabulous. The
Yeah,
interior looks absolutely fantastic. Like I don't have any complaints looking at it. And they have those second row. What do they call
The
them? The
ottomans.
relaxation. Yeah, the little
yeah,
ottoman thing set for the second row. I'm like, all right, I can get behind that. Because you when you have a family car like this, it's not always that you pick up one kid and then you're waiting for the other kid. So while you're waiting, one of them can lounge. I think they did a nice job of making that a really usable space for people inside. And I like how it looks. And I love the pixels. I love the pixels. Although I have a funny story. So Russ took a picture of the Ioniq 6 that's sitting in my driveway. And he initially said to me, it's an Ioniq. And I'm like, that's not enough. Can you take a picture of the back of it? And he took a picture of the back so I could see it was Ioniq 6. And I had my AirPods in. I was on a flight. And Siri reads to me what the picture is. It tries to tell you what you've been sent a picture of. And it's like, Russ Wakeland has sent you a picture of a black and white keyboard. That's how it saw all the little things on it. I was like, what? And I was listening and I'm like, he sent me what? I'm like, oh, I see that. Oh, Siri, you're not entirely wrong. So now that's what all I could think of, a black and white keyboard.
I like that they
yeah,
kept the external shape very close to the concept that they had 2 years ago in LA, the Hyundai 7 concept. And I guess at some point because this was originally supposed to be branded as Ioniq 7, but they changed it to 9 at some point for some reason. Maybe because Kia went with EV9 for their 3-row,
You might be
and
right. So
they didn't want it to seem less than the Kia.
Good point.
or
Good point. I
yeah,
didn't think about that.
or
Yeah.
maybe they have a what do you call it yeah.
An EV.
They have a 7 coming, and the
Yeah.
9. Like, what's the biggest one we have? Well, that one should be the 9
Yeah.
because we have the 5, the 6. If we're gonna have
Maybe
something
they're
in
gonna have a
between,
mid-size 2-row, more
yeah,
upright
In the middle,
crossover
just the seven.
SUV-ish one.
because if you don't, then you end up with the weird thing that's going on with with Rivian, where like the 2 and the 3, but like the 1 is the biggest
Right.
one, and then the like the higher the numbers,
Or
the smaller the car. You're
yeah,
like, well, that
or
now I'm
Right.
confused.
It's like
yeah, or
backwards. Yeah.
Polestar. You know, they're just numbering them sequentially as they come out. So you know, you have
It's
the
like another
1,
one.
the
We're
2,
Polestar 52.
3. The 4 is slightly smaller than a 3.
Theory, yeah.
And then the
And
5 is going to be this sedan, this GT
and then the
sedan.
6 is going to be the Roadster.
Yeah, so it's like the numbers have no meaning at all.
Yeah.
So
When everyone's like, oh, and then meanwhile, like BMW's like, come on, guys, we've been doing this for years. Look.
Figure it out.
Lower the
Figure it
number, the smaller the car.
So did they give any indication of pricing for the
They
Nope.
don't, nothing. Like your guess is as
Nothing.
good as anybody's. I
Nothing.
can't imagine it. I mean, I feel like Hyundai does a good job on the pricing front in general. You know, they're always a reasonable price. I feel like you get a lot for the money. So I feel like it'll be that. I don't feel like this is going to be priced out of range for your average consumer. I have confidence the price will be good for what it is.
Unless they
That's
do
my
some
thought.
like some really fancy stuff, it's going to be a little bit more than the EV9, just because it's already got
Mhm.
like what, 20 kilowatt hour more battery or so.
It's more SUV than the EV9. It's got more to
Yeah.
offer. Yeah, so that makes sense. But I don't think it's going to be like sky high or anything.
Yeah.
The EV9 starts at 55, but that's with the smaller battery. So the long range rear wheel drive EV9 starts at 59,200. So I would assume it's going to be at least that much.
Yeah.
Maybe low 60s. I mean,
Yeah.
we probably would love to keep it under 60 because that's a nice number to avoid. But
Yeah.
I would think the extra, it maybe it could do it. But yeah,
If they bring it in at 60, that's crazy talk. That would be very.
That-
Um,
it would be amazing if they could. Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
how they'd do it, but
Yeah, but then you'll end
I
up
mean,
with a situation like what VW is facing with its dealers now, where dealers are putting $15,000 markups on the ID Buzz.
oh God, yeah. Sigh.
All right.
Sigh. Even though Volkswagen told you not to, they're
Yeah.
gonna do whatever you want.
All right.
And then
Yep.
and then they're like, why don't people like us? The dealers are like,
Because you behave like jerks.
yeah.
Because you're nasty. That's why we don't
Basically
like
what it
you.
comes down to. You act like jerks and you wonder why people don't like you.
Yeah.
All right. How about the VW Tiguan?
Tiguan. I went and saw it. It looks nice.
I didn't. Yeah. Okay. All right. I thought it looked nice too. I might saw it as well. I mean, but, right.
Okay, here's the crazy thing. I went and I looked at the Tiguan, and it's on stage next to the ID Buzz, and the ID Buzz has been out for a while. We've all driven it. It's for sale. I know Roman is going to pick one up over at
Yeah.
TFL.
Yeah.
They're finally
everyone
getting
was
rid of
taking
their
pictures.
Cybertruck, trading in the Cybertruck on an ID
Yeah.
Buzz.
Riding in the Cybertruck. But everyone was sort of ignoring the Tiguan for the ID Buzz. So
Well, I mean, wouldn't you? How could you not? Like, if you have not had a
No.
chance, if you haven't, what are you
I
going to go spend your time to check out? What are
I
you going to
know.
look at?
I
That's what you're
know.
going to do.
That's the thing. It looks nice. It looks, it's a Tiguan. It's, I don't know what else to say.
I heard
I'm sure they'll sell a bunch of them.
I heard they dropped the third row for the Tiguan.
Oh yeah, they got rid of, well, there was no reason to have a third row in that car.
Yeah, I mean, it was always pretty useless anyway.
Yeah, like stop it with the third rows in cars there's no reason for a third row. Just stop.
Stop it.
Like, and put someone back there. No one ever ends up in the back of these like super weird tiny third rows. First of all, like I put my kids, I'm like, you're gonna like shove your kids in this way back area. It's already a pain to get them back there. And now they're like 7 miles away from you. Just put them in the second row. If you have that many kids, I don't know, get a bigger car.
Yeah, get an Atlas.
just get the bigger, just upgrade to the base level of the next.
Or an ID
car.
Buzz.
Or an ID Buzz, or just get a van. Yeah. That's the other thing. Just get
has so much appeal. It makes the Tiguan like an also ran, unfortunately.
It does. That's the thing. And then I think, I think there was a conversation with a bunch of automotive journalists about the ID Buzz and whether or not it would, after its initial run when everyone's really excited, will it stick around, or will it end up with the fate that the Beetle had? And I think there's enough utility in that vehicle, and I think there's enough aftermarket for that vehicle that I think we're going to get at least 4 years of like really nice sales for them. But I also think it's really smart for Volkswagen to only build it in one factory, to
limited availability.
Yeah, limited availability. It starts at a mid-level tier. It doesn't have an entry-level tier, just because I would like to have a entry-level tier, but I think after in a few years, if they're still selling a bunch of them, we might be able to get a for real mid-level tier. But that's not the Tiguan, and see what happened. We're supposed to be talking about the Tiguan.
Yeah.
And we didn't. Yeah, see?
Okay.
Yeah,
It
there
doesn't
you
have
go.
a third row, but the ID Buzz does. There you go. The Tiguan.
All right.
Yeah,
There's going to be some links to a bunch of other stuff. We're already running almost 2 hours now. There'll be links in the show notes to a bunch of other stuff. I do want to talk about the NACTOY finalists.
Yes.
Yeah. Madam Vice President.
Finally. Madam Vice President, that's
Yeah.
me, Madam Vice President. So we announced our finalists, and for car, we had the K4, the Civic Hybrid, and the Camry. For truck, we got the Ranger, the Ram 1500, the Tacoma. And for utility, we got Equinox EV, ye olde ID Buzz that we were just talking about, and the Santa Fe. So I think we have a pretty competitive set in each one. Were there any surprises on that list for you, Sam?
Not particularly.
Yeah.
I think I think most of those were the ones that I voted for. Trying to remember. Let's see.
You know what surprised me? The Equinox EV surprised me.
What, you're surprised that it made it onto the finals?
I was surprised. You know what? Because I feel like the utility category, I think we had the most number of vehicles we started with. There's so many SUVs. So you whittled it down. You know what? The one that didn't make it that just surprised the heck out of me? The EX90, the Volvo EX90.
I'm not that surprised at that one.
Why are you not? I was surprised by that one. Why were you not surprised?
I think, in the case of the Equinox, I think because of the potential value proposition that it offers, I think, it's a really good vehicle, good, 300-mile range, at a price point starting at 35 grand, and still reasonably equipped. So I think that one, I was not surprised. And, that was one that I voted for. I also voted for the ID Buzz. The EX90 is really nice, but it's kind of expensive. The third row is kind of cramped. And given how big this segment is, how many competitors there were here, I'm not entirely surprised that it didn't make it. That the EX90 didn't make it.
That one. I liked that one. I
liked it a lot too. But I think the three that did,
so nicely. The way it drives and the quiet. I know it's an EV, but then beyond being an EV, I was sad.
Yeah.
I was sad about that one. I'm like, dang it, I like that one. Yeah, it was like when you're watching like a show and they keep knocking people off the list. You're like, oh, I like that guy.
Yeah. Well,
dang it,
a lot of great vehicles on the list. And you can only pick 3. So
if you were going to pick a winner in each category right now, Sam, what would you pick for car? Who do you think is going to win?
Let's see. I had Kia K4, the Civic Hybrid, and what was the third one?
Camry.
The Civic Hybrid.
Yeah.
I haven't.
You think the Civic Hybrid?
I haven't been able to get my hands on a K4 yet. We don't have one in the local press fleet yet. So hopefully one will show up before the end of December.
We did have a chance to drive it, and I can say absolutely nothing about it. It was at the drive.
Okay.
They had it for us for NACTOY, but it's embargoed because the actual official drive program isn't a while off. So you should ask about that, because I bet you could get your hands on one.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, when if I get out to California before the end of December, I'll see if I can get one, because I've asked, and there isn't one in the fleet here.
Oh, bummer.
Okay. As soon as the NACTOY drive was over, they shipped them out. But right now I'm inclined towards the Civic Hybrid. I really like that car.
I think I'm going with Camry. I think the Camry is going to win, because we've all driven this beautiful dark gray one with the red interior. That one, that
red interior is what does it for you.
I just think that somehow I
But
just
not
feel like
just any Camry, that Camry, that
that Camry.
spec.
I want to vote for the Toyota Camry in dark gray with the red interior. No, I think the Camry could do that. I think it could win. What about you, Roberto? Which one do you think is gonna like Kia K4, Honda Civic Hybrid, or Camry?
I feel like the Civic is probably.
You think so? You guys both think so? I bet you're right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be wrong. I feel like this is with the Monronis. And then for truck, Ranger, Ram 1500, or Tacoma?
The Ranger.
Ranger.
I liked a new Ranger. I haven't driven. I have to drive the Tacoma and the Ram 1500 for World Car, but I haven't gotten around to those. So.
The new Tacoma is a huge improvement over the old one, but the back seat is still very cramped. It doesn't get great fuel economy. And I like driving the Ranger better. I've got a Ranger in the driveway right now.
On everything, I would say I'm guessing Tacoma. And
I wouldn't be surprised if the Tacoma won. Yeah. And the Ram, they added the Hurricane engine, which is a big improvement. Nice, better, upgraded interior, but it's just not significant enough.
Right. Is it enough compared to these two? Enough to get into the top 3 totally, but to beat these, I'm not sure. And then the last one, the category I'm still sad about, the Equinox EV, the Santa Fe, or the Buzz. What do you think is going to get?
I think it's going to be.
I haven't driven.
What?
Go ahead, Robbie.
I haven't driven the Santa Fe or the Equinox, but it's going to be the Buzz.
I think the Buzz might just have enough buzz to pull it off. I think people are just so excited about that thing. But in terms of a vehicle that I think is actually most significant, I think it's the Equinox.
See, I think the Buzz is going to win, but I actually and I think it kind of deserves to win too. But I think the Santa Fe would be my second choice. You already know I'm not a big Equinox fan. The Santa Fe, I just like that I like the way Hyundai changed their design and they made it very versatile, and the powertrains and the neat little things like the little thing that pops in on the side to help you up at the top. Like there's neat. It has a lot of thoughtful details in the Santa Fe. So I like the Santa Fe, but I think it's going to be Buzz. I should write all this down, and we should come back in January and see how close we get.
I think they're like a lot of people went into the Buzz Drive program a little. We're all like a little disappointed at the pricing and the range, and within like 15 minutes we're all like hee Buzz. We're like tiny little school children, just very excited to drive around in a bus all day in a van.
All right, let's answer a couple of listener questions before we go. Let's see, Mike, and this one actually came in as a comment on Spotify. So somebody is actually listening to the show on Spotify. Not sure why, but
I don't.
Hey, wherever you want to listen is good for me.
Comment on Spotify. I didn't know that was an opportunity. You could do that.
Apparently, it's there because I got a notification, from that there was a comment on the show, and so actually not Mike, Mark, who's from Howell, Michigan, not far from here, and he asks. Recently bought a 2013 SL63 AMG. How much trouble have I gotten myself into? A lot. I really enjoy driving the car and realize the repair maintenance costs are going to be much higher than the 65 Corvette I owned previously. Any input you could provide, good, bad, or indifferent, would be appreciated. I really enjoy the show and always look forward to banter. Well, good lucky for you, Mark. Lots of banter this week. Either of you have thoughts on a 2013 SL63?
Listen, you're going to have the best time until you have to get it fixed.
Yeah.
The best time.
When it works, you're going to love it.
Absolutely.
The key word being there, when it works. Yeah. I mean, yes. They're great as long as you don't have to fix them. It's one of those things, like some other brands. They're great vehicles to drive and terrible vehicles to own.
Mm-hmm. But you'll enjoy it. Hopefully you got a good price. It's a 2013.
Maintenance. Do all the maintenance things, all of them.
Yeah, don't skimp on anything.
Maybe don't skimp, and I think that you'll be all right. But yeah, do all the maintenance things, and you should be okay-ish. Save up some money. Like start like a Christmas fund or whatever people do.
Put some money away every month for the
every month for your pending expenses.
Yeah, put a little money away. That way, when it does happen, you're like, hey, I have this money for that thing.
Okay, next one from Paul. This one came in by email.
And he actually messaged me separately
Oh, okay.
too, so I answered him. But I'm curious to see what we're going to say. I'm like, we should all answer him on the show
All right.
too. So
It says, hi, Nicole and the guys. I listened to Wheel Bearings religiously and sent a couple of questions, but never heard back. Sorry, Paul. I didn't.
Sam's a meanie. He doesn't pick all the questions. I don't know why that happened, actually.
Well, sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
Anyway, because it gets so much spam into that account. Anyway, I listened to the show. Love the show. Lived in NYS for 12 years.
New York. New York.
Okay.
It was I think it's supposed to be NYC,
Yeah,
maybe.
New York State.
State, maybe.
Anyway, he's back in the UK now. And could I ask you a question, please? Absolutely, Paul. You can always ask us a question. We will endeavor to answer. We're traveling to New York City December 9th and are looking to spend a couple of days there and then drive to Niagara Falls, then down to DC and back to JFK. We were wondering, what would you recommend as a hire car? For those that speak American English, that would be a rental car for this road trip. It all comes down to Tahoe versus RAV4. It's 2 adults and a 14-year-old with assorted luggage and camera gear. Ideally, I would like to do the 3 long trips as single days on the road. Thanks in anticipation for your help. P.S. The guy looking at the BMW iX versus Audi versus Macan should also have looked at the Maserati Grecale. Liz, my wife, had one as a courtesy car when her Levante was being serviced, and it was like a rocket. It was like a rocket rails. Great SUV, tons of grip and performance. All right, so let's answer the road trip car.
So I had said what I told him was I had said RAV4 because I thought it was the Tahoe's big. It's just 2 adults and a 14-year-old kid. Unless you're super heavy on how you pack, you're gonna fit all that in a RAV4 just fine. And a little bit nicer, a little bit better. You're driving some twisty roads on your route. There's some side roads in there, so get something that's a little easier to manage. Tahoe's not bad. I just feel like it's more than he needs, and you're going to pay more for gas in the Tahoe.
A lot more.
On the road trip.
What
So
Nicole said. That's good job, Nicole.
RAV4. Yeah, thank you, Robbie. So I went RAV4. Yeah, that was my choice.
If Sam disagrees, he's wrong. So
no, between those two, I would not disagree with that assessment. I was also going to say RAV4 because the Tahoe will use a lot more gas. If you rent a Tahoe, I don't know if you'll be able to. Well, they probably wouldn't have any in the rental fleet this early with Super Cruise. If there was one available with Super Cruise, you might like to consider that. But other than that, absolutely the RAV4. It's got plenty of room. Unless your 14-year-old is like 7 feet tall, you'll have plenty of room. Even if you have a lot of luggage, fold down one half of the rear seat. You've got plenty of room in there. So RAV4.
And here's a weird thing that I've noticed with rental agencies. They give you plug-in hybrids. That's the worst car to get from a rental. If you get an EV, you're like, okay, I can go and charge at the EV station. If you get a hybrid, you're like, oh, I'll just put gas in. But a plug-in hybrid is the most ridiculous thing to give people from a rental thing because it makes no sense. Because usually you're renting a car when you're going somewhere you're not from, you don't live at. Where are you going to plug?
Your chances of getting a RAV4 Prime from a rental company are pretty slim. I doubt there's any out there.
There's not.
It's hard enough to buy one, much less rent one.
I've had a few people who are like, yeah, they gave me a plug-in hybrid from the rental agency. I'm like, what is wrong with that? So don't let them trick you.
And on the PS, the Grecale, I haven't had a chance to drive the Grecale Fulgari yet, and I don't know if that's what your wife drove, Paul. I've driven the gas powered one, and it is really nice. I think that listener was looking at EVs, which is why they had the iX and the e-tron in there and the Macan, and so I think the Grecale Fulgari is actually pretty quick, so that would absolutely be one. I don't think that they're available here in the U.S. yet. I don't think they've started selling them here yet, but it's definitely another one to consider. And finally, from Russ, and I'm assuming that this is not your Russ, Nicole.
Tis not my Russ.
As I recently traded in a Mercedes Wagon 2000 and decided I needed an upgrade. The Genesis GV70 seemed like a good fit. After a few trips on interstate highways, I realized that the cruise control driving assist was not working correctly. I complained to Genesis home office, and they were very efficient. Today, I had a 1-hour ride with a shop technician. The conclusion was that the system is not broke. It's just poor compared to the older Mercedes. It would be very helpful in your podcast to give information on how well the driver assist works. I would not have this SUV if I had known that the driver assist was poor. So, it's I've driven some older Mercedes, with some of the, I'm assuming it's a 2000 Mercedes, so that's a 24-year-old car. I've driven Mercedes of that era with their adaptive cruise control that they had at that time. Compared to the Genesis, it's nowhere near as good as any modern vehicle.
Yeah, I was perplexed by this. I haven't driven that vehicle that he's talking about, the Mercedes wagon from 2000. I wasn't doing this job back in 2000. So I haven't driven, tried out that technology that's old. But even trying the tech in most cars, if you look at what was out in 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 2012, 2013, 2014, by and large, it's not as good as what we have today. I mean, I feel like even something as simple as lane keep assist used to ping pong you back and forth and make you sick. And now it just sort of, I'm surprised that you found that.
My experience with pretty much all of the Hyundai Motor Group vehicles, so Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis, is that the adaptive cruise, the ADAS, is actually really good. It's among some of the better stuff I've seen. And generally very smooth. There's no jerkiness. You might want to consider trying a different dealer, a different service department, a different technician.
If you really hate it, I'm with Sam. If you really feel like it's bad compared to a 2000 Mercedes wagon, it feels like not that the Mercedes was amazing, but that there is something amiss with your GV70. I would at least get a second opinion from head to a different dealership, a different tech, and get a second opinion about it and tell them, because that just sounds weird to me. I've never heard anyone say that for tech that old, that it did not match up to anybody's tech that's current.
Yeah, and driving the GV70 and the system that they have in there, I've always thought was quite good. If you want to write back to us, Paul, Russ, and give us a little more detail on exactly what your complaints are. But my own experience with all of the various Hyundai Group vehicles is that the ADAS is actually quite good.
And definitely, if you do go to get another tech or another dealer and get a second opinion, they come back with something different. I'd be really curious. This one's perplexing.
Yeah,
Sam.
I mean, it could be a calibration issue with the cameras. The things like the cameras that are part of the ADAS system. They do need to be calibrated. For example, if you have a cracked windshield and the windshield needs to be replaced, part of that process, and one of the things that makes it a lot more expensive on modern cars, is they do have to spend an hour or so actually calibrating the cameras or calibrating the radar sensors. So it might be a sensor that is either not functioning properly or is not calibrated properly. So I'm not sure what's going on, but if you want to give us some more detail, we'll follow up on it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Got lots of stuff to listen to this week, while you're trying to avoid your family on Thanksgiving. So if you want
to travel, oh man,
if you're
I'm not going anywhere,
stuck on the road, traveling to your family on Thanksgiving, got some hopefully fun stuff for you. And keep sending in questions at feedback@wheelbearings.media, and we will talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Everyone's talking about AI these days, right? This season on Compiler, we're diving deep into how AI is reshaping the world we live in. Join us for a new season of Compiler, an original podcast from Red Hat. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to paint their door a vibrant shade of blue. Others have the need to decorate their bathroom with fish, anchors, and other nautical items. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.